Chapter 417. The war finally calmed down. The Heavenly Dragon Empire had won. This news spread throughout the Heavenly Dragon continent. It even spread to the Heavenly Boundary continent and the Nether continent. They were all shocked, especially under the leadership of the Imperial Teacher. The Heavenly Dragon Empire and the Netherworld continent were shocked. The Imperial Teacher was the second strongest person in the Netherworld Empire, but he was still defeated. What kind of power did the Heavenly Dragon Empire have? However, there was still a lot of shocking news. For example, there were 3 people who could control the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure, and one of them could turn into a dragon. The more it spread, the more exaggerated it became. In the end, it was said that there were dozens of people who could control the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure, and they even had the support of the Dragon Clan. The Heavenly Dragon Empire had become a legend. It was exaggerated to say that the Heavenly Dragon Empire was much stronger than the Netherworld Empire, and that it would be easy for the Netherworld Empire to suppress it. These words were exaggerated enough to make the Netherworld Empire explode in anger. In fact, he was furious. After the Imperial Advisor returned, the Netherworld Emperor was thoroughly enraged. He was 10 times, or even 100 times more furious than before. Little Brother Long is dead? The Netherworld Great Emperor was extremely furious. He clenched his fists and his heart was filled with anger. The terrifying power released from his body was the best proof. It could be said that he had suppressed his power to the extreme, and there was still a bit of it leaking out. The ground around him was shaken by this terrifying power, causing cracks to appear and debris to fly. Otherwise, the surrounding area would have exploded from the pressure. The people below were terrified. They hadn't seen the Netherworld Great Emperor so angry in a long time. Yes, it's my fault. The enemy was too strong. I couldn't resist his attack, even if I used all my strength. The Imperial Preceptor's face was pale and looked even paler than before. Especially from his aura, it was obvious that he was much weaker than before. You couldn't resist him even if you used all your strength? The Netherworld Emperor was surprised. He knew how strong the Imperial Teacher was. If the Imperial Teacher couldn't resist him, it meant that the enemy was much stronger than him. Yes, but it's mostly because I wasn't prepared. I was careless and my soul was injured. Otherwise, I would have brought Brother Long back. The Imperial Teacher was ashamed. He sighed deeply. His eyes were full of shame, but he did try his best. I know. It seems like I have to go personally. The Netherworld Emperor stood up and said angrily, "Your Majesty, you can't do this. If you go personally, we will be in chaos." The Imperial Teacher's face changed. But who can avenge Brother Long? Netherworld Great Emperor's eyes are filled with killing intent. He is my younger brother. My younger brother is dead. How can I face him if I don't avenge him? Prime Minister Long was the younger brother of the Netherworld Great Emperor. If this news spread out, it would definitely set off a great uproar. Sending a spy, but it turned out to be the younger brother of the Netherworld Great Emperor. You must suppress it. You are only one step away from obtaining the power of the Nether Dragon. As long as you can obtain this power, the Heavenly Dragon Empire will be a piece of cake. Imperial Preceptor advised. Just a little bit more, Great Emperor. Don't be impulsive. Your Majesty, as long as you break through the dragon power, the Netherworld Emperor, the Netherworld will. One by one, the ministers began to persuade the Netherworld Great Emperor to not act rashly. Damn it, Brother Long? The Netherworld Emperor shook his head and said in a deep voice, "If Brother Long didn't say that he wanted to bring back the Heavenly Dragon Empire in one piece, I would have personally led the Netherworld army to kill them. Even the Heavenly Dragon Empire can't resist my Netherworld army." Now they were all silent. Prime Minister Long had sneaked in to take down the Heavenly Dragon Empire in one piece. The Netherworld Empire was very strong, but if they conquered the Heavenly Dragon Empire, they would also become half-crippled, which was very disadvantageous to the Netherworld Empire. That was why they came up with this plan. Who knew that an unforeseen event would occur, causing most of them to die there? It was truly shocking. Who would have thought? Everyone thought that their plan was perfect, and they all thought that the Heavenly Dragon Empire didn't have any powerful forces, and they thought that they could conquer it at any time. In reality, a super expert appeared out of nowhere. and it was a super expert who could fight against everyone. We have neglected this point, but this time we will not neglect it. As long as the great emperor obtains the power of the nether dragon, everything will be fine. Not to mention the heavenly dragon empire. Even the surrounding empires will be in your pocket. At that time, you will become a fifth-grade divine kingdom without any pressure. The imperial preceptor's eyes were full of excitement and expectation. Divine kingdom. The netherworld great emperor's eyes were full of yearning. After reaching the level of divine kingdom, they would enter a whole new realm. But they had only heard about this realm, and they didn't know much about it. Because the divine kingdom wasn't located in this area, but in the sky. All right, when we are fully prepared, and when I obtain the power of the nether dragon, I will conquer the heavenly boundary continent and the heavenly dragon empire. The netherworld great emperor's eyes were shining with anticipation. While the imperial preceptor was planning everything, Tianyin had already cleaned up the corpses outside. The mission here was already completed, and there was no other mission. There is no chain mission? What a pity. Zhiro didn't become the divine lady. Tianyin frowned. Zhiro could only be regarded as a princess. But there was no mission, and it didn't matter whether she was the divine lady or not. It was very likely that she would become the divine lady in the future, and Ren Long would pass the throne to her. Brother Yi, what are you doing here? Ren Long walked out of the hall and saw Tianyin standing outside the palace, so he walked over and asked, "It's nothing. I'm just here to take a look." Finally, everything is back to normal. Tianyin smiled. Yes, everything is back to normal. I don't know if the Netherworld Great Emperor will personally lead the army here, but no matter how many people come, we will deal with them. Ren Long smiled, and his eyes were full of gratitude. If it wasn't for you, we would have fallen. You are really the savior of our heavenly dragon empire. I feel that even without me, the heavenly dragon empire can still hold on, right? Tianyun's eyes flashed. It can still hold on, but there is a price to pay. For example, my life. Ren Long smiled and said, "If one day I am gone, can you become the great emperor of the heavenly dragon empire?" Brother Ren, you can't say such things. How can anything happen to you? Tianyun shook his head. It's hard to say. I'm just saying in advance that you are more qualified to become the great emperor. I don't have the ambition to become the great emperor. I prefer to explore the world without any worries. Ren Long looked at Tianyun and said firmly, "Brother Yi, can you agree to my request?" Chapter 4:18. Tianyun was stunned by Ren Long's request. He didn't expect Ren Long to dislike being the great emperor so much. There were many people who wanted to sit in this position, but Ren Long didn't want to continue sitting in this position. He wanted to travel around the world. Ren Long had to admit that exploring the outside world was more exciting. There was no freedom in this place. There was no freedom in this place. I'm afraid I won't be able to comply. In fact, I'm not too keen on these things. It's better to let Jiro do it. As the divine lady, she can manage the heavenly dragon empire properly. Tianyun pushed the responsibility to Renjiro. Oh, I almost forgot, there's still my little sister. Ren Long's eyes lit up. All right, I'll talk to her. With her current prestige, becoming the divine lady won't be a problem. Let her become the divine lady first. After succeeding the throne, she can slowly manage this place. When everything calms down, I can leave this place and travel around. Tianyun shrugged helplessly. Is this how a great emperor should act? No wonder he said that as long as someone was capable enough, he would give up the position of great emperor. This guy didn't want to be the great emperor at all. Of course he was willing to say such words. The Ren family's empire was given away just like that. What a wastrel. Brother Ren, is this really okay? Tianyun felt helpless. There's nothing wrong with it. I've always liked to travel around the world. Exploring the outside world is full of dangers. This way, I could become stronger. Ren Long said in a deep voice. What I pursue is the endless world of martial arts, not this world of power. Just like Brother E, power and authority are all bullshit in front of you. This was the kind of feeling he yearned for. All schemes and plots were futile in front of him. and he could kill anyone who stood in his way with a single punch. If one punch can't solve it, then 2 punches. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble Ji-ro. Tianyun felt helpless. But he also thought of Shi-Yun, his aunt. His heart warmed. Wasn't she also cultivating her own forces for his own safety? This is indeed unfair to her. If she doesn't want to do it, then she won't do it. It's just the position of a god monarch. What's so great about it? Renlong shrugged nonchalantly. If his parents were here, they would surely give him a tight slap. All right. Tianyun could only reply like this. All right, I'll go talk to my little sister first. Renlong smiled and turned around to look for Renjiro. Suddenly, he remembered something and said, "Oh, right, I almost forgot to tell you. Su Fei, who was with you before, went to the Qin family. Young people these days are so hot-blooded. He was so brave on the battlefield. After the battle, he left without saying goodbye. I think he's trying to avoid you." Tianyun narrowed his eyes and pondered for a while. During the battle, Su Fei didn't hide somewhere and cultivate. Instead, he fought bravely and valiantly. Moreover, he fought at the very front. He had been able to observe Su Fei's situation from afar, but Su Fei had quickly left after the battle without looking for him. As Renlong said, it was very likely that Su Fei was trying to avoid him. This kid is thinking too much. Tianyun suddenly smiled, as if he had understood something. It's not that he's thinking too much, it's just that the disparity in status and strength is too great. He felt that he couldn't help you, so he didn't dare to continue to approach you. Renlong patted Tianyun's shoulder and said with a smile, "He is indeed good. He led a small team to fight bravely. Brothery, you have a good eye." After saying that, Renlong left and didn't continue to stay. Tianyun's eyes flashed. It was almost time for him to go back to the Heavenly Clouds mansion, but before that, he had to find Su Fei to go with him. Qin family? It seems to be lively. I have to go and have a look. Tianyun smiled and disappeared from the hall. After the war, the Heavenly Dragon Empire had not suffered many losses, so everything was the same as before. Everything was still going on, and the whole nation was celebrating. The Qin family situation was the same. Everything was the same as usual. However, at this time, a figure came to the Qin family's gate. Before the guards could react, someone shouted at the Qin family, "Qin Shui, I'm here to pick you up." He shouted very loudly, and even the entire Qin clan heard him. Many people rushed out from inside, and when they saw Su Fei outside, their faces were filled with anger. "You brat, you still don't want to give up. Our master said before that eldest miss can't marry you. She has decided to marry the young master of the Fu family." An elder of the Qin family came out and glared at him. "Go where you should go. If you weren't the young master of the Su family, you would have already kicked us out. Qin Shui, I'm here to pick you up." Su Fei ignored them and continued to shout. "You brat, it seems like you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. If I don't beat you up, I won't know what I should do." An elder of the Qin family came out of the gate angrily. Just when he was about to beat Su Fei up, a shout came from inside. "Second elder, please stop." At this time, a beautiful woman came out. She might not be a stunning beauty, but she looked very delicate. She belonged to the type that was more and more beautiful to look at. Xiao Shui. When Su Fei saw the woman coming out, his eyes were filled with surprise. "Brother Su." Qin Shui's beautiful eyes flashed with tears, but she was still worried. "Why are you here, Xiao Shui? I can't wait anymore. If the Qin family marries you to the Fu family, it will be too late for me," Su Fei said in a deep voice. "This time, I'm sure that I can marry you." "Really?" Qin Shui's beautiful eyes revealed a look of surprise. Her heart couldn't help but speed up a bit. "What a joke. How can you be sure that you can marry our eldest miss?" The second elder sneered. "You don't have talent, you don't have status. Even in the Su family, your status is very low. Now let me ask you, what qualifications do you have? I am willing to use this treasure to exchange for it." Suddenly, Su Fei brought out a pearl. When everyone saw it, they were immediately taken aback. It was a low-grade sacred artifact. It was quite a decent treasure. "This is a low-grade sacred artifact, the Holy Spirit's pearl. If you use it to cultivate, it can double your cultivation speed. I originally wanted to keep it for my own use, and when my cultivation is not low, I will come back to marry you. Now, I am willing to use this treasure as a betrothal gift to marry Xiao Shui. Double the speed of cultivation. This is really a good sacred artifact. Most people don't have this kind of treasure. This is a treasure that only void spirit stage cultivators can have. Many people are very tempted. A little interesting, this kid's luck is not bad. He got this treasure. A figure appeared in the corner, watching the whole process. He didn't appear immediately. He wanted to see how Su Fei would take down Qin Shui. It can be seen that both of them love each other. This is the only way to help. If it is forced, even if he thinks highly of Su Fei, he will not choose to help. Now that Su Fei is a general that he thinks highly of, he must help when necessary, with King Yi's identity. Chapter 419. The Holy Spirit's Pearl was a very good betrothal gift. If it was a normal family, they wouldn't be able to refuse it. Sacred tools were very rare, and most of them were at the void spirit stage. Most families didn't even have a void spirit stage powerhouse, so this thing was definitely qualified to be used as a betrothal gift. That was especially true for treasures. They were much more precious than the average sacred artifacts. No wonder Su Fei said that he was confident that he could use this Holy Spirit's Pearl as a betrothal gift. The effect of this thing was amazing, and he was willing to give it to Qin Shui. One could imagine how much he loved Qin Shui. This is a sacred treasure. The second elder's face changed. He didn't expect that Su Fei would take out such a precious gift. One should know that this was a treasure that even the head of the Su family couldn't take out, but Su Fei took it out. It was really shocking. The other elders who came out with Su Fei saw this, and their faces changed. Their eyes were filled with greed. This was also a great benefit for them. It could double their cultivation speed. How could they not want it? Yes, this is a sacred treasure. If I use this Holy Spirit's Pearl, I will be able to break through much faster than ordinary people. It won't be difficult for me to break through to the core transformation stage. Su Fei raised the Holy Spirit's Pearl in his hand and looked at Qin Shui. But recently, I heard that you were planning to marry Xiao Shui to the Fu family immediately. Just because the Fu family has made a lot of contributions this time, you want to let Xiao Shui marry to the Fu family immediately. But Xiao Shui is not a commodity, and she is not a tool for your marriage. If you really want something as compensation, I will use this Holy Spirit's Pearl to make up for your loss. Su Fei's words were sonorous and powerful. His eyes were full of divine light. He would rather give up the Holy Spirit's Pearl for Qin Shui to be with him. Qin Shui covered her mouth with her hand. She didn't want to be a tool for the marriage. She only wanted to be with Su Fei, but she couldn't decide her own marriage. This is not enough. At this time, a handsome middle-aged man walked out. Qin Shui's appearance was similar to his. Obviously, he was the head of the Qin family, Qin Long. Father, Qin Shui saw Qin Long come out and stood aside in fear. Qin Long didn't even look at her. He looked at Su Fei with a burning gaze and said in a low voice, "The Holy Spirit Pearl is not bad, but what do you think is the main factor that allows a family to prosper? Treasures are one thing, but the most important thing is support. You might be able to give us treasures that are more precious than the betrothal gifts given by the Fu family, but you can't protect us because your cultivation is too low. Unless your cultivation is very strong, at least at the core transformation stage. It would have been fine if the Su family had given you their full support, but now that the Su family has abandoned you, do you still think you have the right to marry my daughter?" Qin Long's words were like a sharp thorn that pierced into his heart. Qin Long's heart. Qin Long needed Qin Spirit's Pearl. Holy Spirit's bead was good, but if he didn't have the sex sect, the sex king gift, spirits of treasure. Qin, but if not people, to Anglican sect lead. If Qin Shui married into the Fu family, her status wouldn't be low. Therefore, she would be able to help the Qin family. This was what Qin Long needed. Qin Shui's status would not be low if she married into the Fu family. This was the real intention of the Qin family. Su Fei was silent. His eyes were red, and he gritted his teeth. Su Fei fell silent. His eyes were red, and he gritted his teeth. He had thought that he could marry Qin Shui by relying on the heavenly spirit's pearl, but it seemed like he was too naive. Give me some time. I will definitely have the power to protect the Qin family. Su Fei gritted his teeth and said, Give me some time? How many years? 5 years? 10 years? Qin Long sneered. It will be too long. I will marry Qin Shui, and you will see the results immediately. Unless you can convince the Su family to fully support you and have a position in the family, I will let Qin Shui marry you. But do you have the status now? Which brother is not stronger than you? You have no right to speak. Otherwise, you wouldn't have run away from the marriage. You are so useless. Qin Long shook his head and looked at Su Fei as if he was looking at a piece of trash. Father, enough. If Brother Su didn't save me, I would have died outside. Qin Shui glared at her father and shouted hysterically, You promised me to give Brother Su some time. I didn't expect you to go back on your words. Shut up. Qin Long snorted. It's one thing for him to save you, but I won't allow you to marry a piece of trash who can't bring any benefits to the Qin family. Calling Su Fei a piece of trash was an insult to Su Fei. Su Fei, you really are here? At this time, a group of people came from afar. The leader was the Su family's patriarch, Su Ji. Behind him were Su Fei's brothers. When they saw the Holy Spirit's bead in Su Fei's hand, they were stunned for a moment before greed appeared in their eyes. Is this a sacred item? Su Ji was pleasantly surprised. When did you get it? Father, this is my betrothal gift to the Qin family. Su Fei said, Father, please support me and let me marry the young lady of the Qin family. Are you an idiot? This is a sacred item. If you give it to your brother, you can marry any woman you want. Su Ji said coldly, Hurry up and come back with me. It's not worth it to use this sacred item to exchange for a woman. Patriarch Su, are you saying that my daughter is not worth a sacred item? Qin Long was immediately angered. Isn't that for sure? If you have the ability, why don't you take out a sacred item and let me see? Su Ji sneered, blocking Qin Long's words. Qin Long indeed couldn't take out a sacred item. The Qin family didn't have a sacred item. They wanted a sacred item, but they wanted the Fu family's support even more. The patriarchs of the two families quarreled, but Su Fei's eyes were still filled with sorrow and anger. He didn't expect his father to not support him, and even wanted to take away his sacred item for his brother to use. One had to know that he risked his life to get this sacred item back, but now he was going to give it away. Although he wasn't an outsider, his words were infuriating. As expected, there was no place for him in the Su family. Out of so many brothers, he was the weakest, so it was natural that he was abandoned. Don't just stand there, come back with me, and give me this sacred item. Su Ji snatched it, but Su Fei quickly dodged, not letting his father snatch it. You dare to dodge, believe it or not, I'll beat you to death. Su Ji said coldly. This is what I obtained. Why should I give it away? Su Fei glared at them and said, From today onwards, I'm no longer a member of the Su family. After saying that, he turned around and wanted to escape, but soon the Su family members surrounded him, blocking his escape route. Even if you're not a member of the Su family, you still have to hand over the sacred item. Su Ji stretched out his hand and looked at him coldly. Su Fei's eyes were filled with sorrow. He didn't expect that in the end, the ones who forced him to his death would be his own family. Chapter 420. A figure walked out from the crowd and attracted everyone's attention. The tone of the voice was not harsh, but the content of the voice was very domineering. Many people turned their heads to look. Su Ji and the others glared angrily, wanting to see who was so arrogant. When Qin Long and the others looked over, they were immediately stunned, not daring to believe their eyes. After blinking a few times, their eyes were filled with shock. Prince? Princey? When they saw Yi Tianyun, they couldn't help but shout. Yi Tianyun's identity was known to everyone. Who didn't know that the person who repelled the Netherworld Empire was Yi Tianyun? If it wasn't for him, the entire Heavenly Dragon Empire would have fallen. The Fu family's contribution was nothing but a pile of shit in front of him. When Su Fei saw Yi Tianyun, he was stunned for a moment. He immediately lowered his head and didn't dare to look at Tianyun. Tianyun walked towards Su Fei step by step. The people in front of him made way for him. Tianyun patted Su Fei's shoulder and said, "Why didn't you tell me if you were in trouble? Big brother, the gap between us is too big. I thought I could help you, but I realized that I'm not worthy." Su Fei lowered his head and said, "There's no such thing as worthy. If I think you're capable, then you're capable. If you think you're weak, then you're really weak. If you don't have confidence, then how can you talk about success?" Tianyun smiled. "Can I really help Big Brother? Su Fei raised his head, his eyes filled with surprise. "Of course you can. Otherwise, why would I give you a fortune?" Tianyun smiled and said, "This time, I came to take you away. I didn't expect this to happen. Sometimes, I do feel very powerless, powerless without power, powerless without background." "Yes." Su Fei sighed. This was a huge blow to him. "That's why I have to work harder and make myself stronger. Only then will I be able to change everything." Tianyun patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Sometimes connections are indeed the key. Qin family head is right, but now you have connections. What are you afraid of?" The conversation between the two of them left everyone dumbfounded. Su Fei actually knew King Yi, and their relationship seemed to be quite good. Did King Yi recognize him? Tianyun looked up at Qin Long and said indifferently, "Didn't you say that Su Fei has no background? I'm his backer now. Is that enough?" "Enough, enough." Qin Long felt his legs go soft. He quickly half-knelt on the ground and said, "Welcome, Your Highness. Welcome, welcome, Your Highness." At this moment, the surrounding people all knelt down in unison in fear and trepidation, especially those from the Su clan. Their hearts skipped a beat. He didn't expect that Su Fei would be acquainted with the prince, and their relationship was quite good. They all knew about Tianyun's situation. He was facing the entire empire alone, and everyone was afraid of him. With just a little anger, a family could be easily trampled to the ground. "You don't have to kneel. Get up." Tianyun waved his hand at Qin Shui and said with a faint smile, "Why aren't you coming over?" Qin Shui was stunned. When she looked at Su Fei beside her, she bit her lips and quickly jogged over, throwing herself into his arms. Qin Long didn't even dare to stop her. This was the difference in status, and this was the backer. Su Fei deeply understood the difference in power. He was even more determined to become stronger. If he didn't become stronger, he wouldn't have any right to speak at all. "After I go back, I'll tell the emperor about the situation and take good care of the Qin clan." Tianyun said indifferently, "You all just think that you've offended the emperor by staying neutral. That's not wrong. You want to marry into the Fu clan to appease the emperor and not eradicate you all. This is indeed a good idea, and the truth is more or less the same. Even if you marry into the Fu clan, are you sure the Fu clan has the power to do that?" This, Qin Long was embarrassed. Tianyun's words hit the nail on the head. This was what Qin Long didn't say. The treasure was indeed good, but they had committed a great taboo. If they wanted to stay here, they had to clear their name. Staying neutral seemed good, but they had offended both sides at the same time. This was even worse. Therefore, they wanted to plead through the Fu clan, but it was obviously meaningless. Renlong didn't buy it at all. This time, the Fu clan had done a meritorious deed, but it was only a small part of it. The real meritorious deed was Tianyun, not the Fu clan. "I'll talk to the emperor. You can rest assured. In the future, as long as the Qin clan doesn't rebel and doesn't do anything, you can live peacefully in the Heavenly Dragon Empire." Tianyun said indifferently, "Can I bring my people away now?" "Yes, yes, you can." When Qin Long heard the result he wanted, he immediately beamed with joy. His daughter said she would send them away. The key was to marry Su Fei, and Su Fei seemed to want to follow Tianyun. Wouldn't the Qin clan be happy? "The two of you leave with me. There's no need to stay here," Tianyun said to Su Fei and the others. "Yes, Big Brother E." Su Fei stared at Tianyun's back with a firm gaze, as if he has made up his mind. When they were about to leave, Su Ji hurriedly shouted, "Su Fei, our Su clan will always open the door for you and wait for you to come back." "No need, I won't go back." Su Fei said coldly. Even if it was his own father, he wouldn't give him any face. Su Ji's face was very ugly, and his intestines were green with regret. Who would have thought that this kind of situation would occur? How could her worst son be acquainted with the prince? The more he thought about it, the more he was depressed, and he wanted to vomit blood. Are you sure you won't go back? Tianyin asked. I won't go back. Ever since he killed my mother, I hate him. Su Fei said coldly. I'd rather not recognize him as my father. So that's what you mean? Tianyin shook his head. As a family head, it's normal to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. But if there are too many wives and too many children, it will lead to an uneven distribution. When they didn't go far, Su Fei suddenly knelt down, and Qin Shui next to him also knelt down. Big brother Su Fei, will follow you forever, no matter what you ask me to do. Even if it's against the heavens, I will do it. My life will belong to Big Brother E from now on. Su Fei said with determination. Qin Shui didn't say anything, but it was obvious that if she married a chicken, she would follow the chicken. If she married a dog, she would follow the dog. She would follow whatever Su Fei did. Ding, successfully subdued an absolutely loyal general. Increase commander point by 100 points. With the improvement of cultivation, you can continue to gain EXP, never stop. When you kill an enemy, you can get corresponding rewards, including EXP, crazy point, and sin point. Accompanied by the crisp sound, Tianyin was stunned. Is there really such a thing? Loyal general, in the future, he can get EXP when he improves his cultivation. Killing an enemy can also get EXP. Isn't this the same as a pet? Chapter 421. The system also added a commander reward, which was quite amazing. He didn't expect that he could get beheading EXP. When his forces fought for him, it was already good enough for him to get overall EXP. Now, the commander system was equivalent to a pet. He could constantly get EXP, and after leveling up, he could also get EXP as a reward. It was really unexpected. It was even better than a pet. He wouldn't get anything from leveling up, nor would he think on his own. He needed to be the one controlling it. The only way to level up was to rely on the commander's help. He saw that Su Fei's favorability towards him had disappeared. There was an infinite sign, which meant that he didn't need the favorability anymore. Su Fei was absolutely loyal to him, so why would he need favorability? They completely obeyed his orders and were at his beck and call. Even if they had to climb a mountain of blades or plunge into a sea of flames, there would be no problem. Although Shi Shuiyun and the others were willing to sacrifice their lives for him, it didn't mean that they were his subordinates, so this situation wouldn't happen. Su Fei was his first subordinate, which was why he knew of such a situation. It seems that if I collect more generals, it will be more helpful for me to level up. Tianyun's eyes lit up, especially the reward for leveling up. It was equivalent to a training system. He could see the reward every time, and it would never stop. Although he didn't know how much the reward would be, he believed that it would definitely be a lot. However, it was not easy to collect generals like him. Immediately, Tianyin smiled and motioned them to get up. Okay, now whether it is the Qin family or the Su family, there is no place for you. If you are willing to follow me, then you will have to join Heavenly Cloud's Mansion. Heavenly Cloud's Mansion? They were a little confused as they had never heard of this Heavenly Cloud's Mansion. Yes, Heavenly Cloud's Mansion. Tianyin smiled and took off the mask on his face, revealing his true face. When they were shocked, he put it back on. Heavenly Cloud's Mansion is a force that I built, and Heavenly Clouds is my name. My real name is Tianyin. That was my real face just now. This, Big Brother E, you are really young, even younger than me. Su Fei smiled bitterly, as he didn't expect that Tianyin's true face would be so young. Not many people know my true face, but I don't want to wear this mask anymore. Tianyin smiled indifferently. He is strong enough. Naturally, he doesn't need to wear a mask. Then, under his lead, they returned to the royal city and briefed Rinlong and the others on the matter, as well as the plan they had come up with. Rinlong and the others listened to Tianyin's plan and joined him to deal with the Netherworld Empire. Tianyin originally wanted to deal with the Netherworld, so it was to have a few more forces to join him. After the discussion, Tianyun led Su Fei and the others to Heavenly Cloud's mansion, while Rinlong and the others stayed in the mansion and waited for Tianyun's arrival. Long and the T and to E, and Tinny that to the sect to the eat the war. To him, the main reason why so many experts came was to defend against the enemies that surrounded them, not to kill their way into the enemy's midst. Soon, they returned to the Heavenly Cloud's mansion. When they landed, Tianyun had already taken off his mask. Soon, they returned to Heavenly Cloud's mansion. When they landed from the sky, he had already taken off his mask, so there was no need to hide anything. When the people of Heavenly Cloud's mansion saw a giant dragon descending from the sky, they looked at it in shock. How could they not be shocked when a giant dragon suddenly appeared out of nowhere? But when they saw that it was Tianyun, they relaxed their vigilance. We are back, Tianyun said as he walked in with Su Fei. Hey, we brought back a man and a woman this time. I thought we brought back a group of people, Shuyin said with a smile when she saw Tianyun came back safely. I wanted to bring back a group of people, but I didn't bring back a group of people this time. Tianyun's eyes flashed. He is Su Fei, the first general of Heavenly Cloud's mansion from now on. He will be the vanguard of the Heavenly Cloud's mansion. Tianyun was flattered that Su Fei was appointed as the first general of Heavenly Cloud's mansion. However, he didn't refuse. Instead, he showed a serious expression and said that he would do his best. That's not a problem. What are we going to do now? Shuyin asked. Summon all the disciples and prepare to fly the heavens, immersing ancient ruins to Heavenly Border Continent. Tianyun said solemnly. We will officially fly to Heavenly Border Continent and merge with Heaven's top mansion. Isn't that equivalent to exposing us? Shuyin was surprised. The other elders who came with them were also surprised when they heard the news. Don't worry, it will happen sooner or later. Everything is under control, Tianyun said with a smile. Tell the spirit race old ancestor to prepare the flying grand array. No problems. Shuyin and the others didn't hesitate and immediately followed Tianyun's order. Soon after the spirit race old ancestor received the news, he didn't hesitate and immediately activated the flying grand array. The whole mountain emitted a bright light, followed by a rumbling sound, as if an earthquake is about to happen. Immediately, the whole surface of the mountain cracked. Accompanied by a bang sound, a temple rushed out of the mountain and flew high into the sky. An incomparably huge shrine floated in the air, just like that. Especially since this shrine had been expanded, it looked incomparably shocking. Very good. There is no problem. Then fly to Heavenly Border Continent now. Tianyun gave the order. The spirit race old ancestor and the flying grand array began to operate madly. The whole temple once again bloomed with dazzling light, turning into a round sun, flying towards Heavenly Border Continent. The speed is not very fast, but also not very slow. It only takes a few days to reach Heavenly Border Continent smoothly. It's just that flying along the way will be very conspicuous. How many people have seen a flying palace before? At most, they have seen flying demon beasts. Almost none of them have seen a flying palace. In fact, flying palaces are not unusual in fourth-grade forces. They are quite common. Under normal circumstances, the palace will not move unless the chosen place is destroyed or the spiritual vein is exhausted. Otherwise, it will not move. Chapter 422. The news of a huge palace flying to the Heavenly Border Continent immediately caused a sensation in the earthly border continent. It even spread to the Heavenly Border Continent, causing a lot of people to talk about it. What kind of force could have such a powerful background and a flying palace? However, this matter wasn't as shocking as the Netherworld Empire's defeat at the hands of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. They were just curious about it, but they didn't feel particularly shocked. The Netherworld Empire didn't have time to inquire about this matter. If they knew that the master of Heavenly Cloud's mansion was King who killed their Prime Minister Long, they would definitely attack. Tianyun's identity was very secretive. The identity of the Black Dragon was rarely exposed in the past, but most of the time, it was only known to the disciples of Heavenly Cloud's mansion, so the Netherworld Empire wouldn't be able to find out anything. Because of this, Eteonian brazenly let the heavenly clouds mansion fly to the heavenly border continent. The Netherworld Empire didn't have time to occupy it, so it was a completely safe place. After flying for a few days, the heavens immersing ancient ruins quickly flew to the heaven's top mansion. Eteonian chose an open space on the side and landed heavily on it, making a bang sound. Many disciples of Heaven's top mansion rushed out to watch, including the elders of Heaven's top mansion. But the great elder and the others didn't come out. The main reason was that the outside world said that they were dead, so they couldn't even tell their own disciples about it. Yang Yu, He-Qian, and the others came out. When they saw Eteonian coming out, they were all stunned. They didn't expect that the person who landed with a palace was their mansion lord. He-Qian didn't know whether she should call Eteonian mansion lord or not. Eteonian's identity couldn't be exposed, but now it was exposed in front of everyone. "Hey, boss." Yang Yu was shocked when she saw Eteonian coming out of the palace. Just when everyone thought that it was an expert, they found out that it was Eteonian, a disciple of the Heavenly Rune Pavilion. They didn't know where they went. They didn't expect that they would suddenly appear and come out of this huge palace. Eteonian nodded with a smile and said to He-Qian, "There's no need to hide it anymore. Let them come out." He-Qian was startled for a second, then ran back to Heaven's top mansion. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what happened. Eteonian turned to Shuiyun and said, "From today onwards, this place belongs to Heavenly Cloud's mansion. Is this Heaven's top mansion the old ancestors' sect?" Shuiyun and the others turned their heads and looked around to see how the environment was. The overall environment here was not bad. It might not be comparable to some of the top sects, but it was considered good among the third-grade forces. The disciples of Heaven's top mansion were confused. They didn't know what was going on, but they saw people coming out one after another, and the elders didn't stop them. Why would the elders stop him? They all knew that Eteonian was the manor head. What authority did they have to stop him? They were happy to see so many experts coming out, so why would they stop them? Soon, the great elder, Musian and the others came out from the palace, but they were shocked when they saw the scene before them. According to the rumors in the outside world, they should have died a long time ago. How could they still appear here? The death of Musian and the others made the disciples of Heaven's top mansion sad for a while, especially the great elder, who had a good personality. Now that they suddenly appeared here, they were dumbfounded. "Great elder, Musian, you." They were all shocked, speechless. They felt that this was too inconceivable. After experiencing such ups and downs, they didn't know what to say. "Sorry to make you sad, but in fact we didn't die. The manor head escaped with us, but because he was afraid of being chased by the Netherworld Empire, he hid it." The great elder explained. "Manor head?" They were confused. Wasn't the manor head crippled? How could he still save people? In fact, this is the current manor head. He will officially take office after some time, but we didn't expect the incident in Dragon Gathering City to happen, so we didn't say it out loud. The great elder smiled and said, "Now that the manor head said that it's okay, we can announce it to the public." The great elder pointed at Eteonian and said that he was the manor head. This news shocked them even more. Wasn't he a disciple of Heavenly Rune Pavilion? How did he suddenly become the manor head? They couldn't wrap their heads around this news. They were so shocked by it that they couldn't speak. A newly joined disciple had suddenly become a manor head. Anyone would be shocked by this. "Yes, I am a manor head. The previous manor head gave this position to me. So I am officially the manor head of Heaven's top mansion." Eteonian said, "I will lead Heaven's top mansion to glory. But before that, I want to announce one thing. Heaven's top mansion has officially merged with Heavenly Cloud's mansion, becoming Heaven's pole sect in Heavenly Cloud's mansion. There is also Spirit Gate and Heavenly Jade Gate here. From now on, they will be your fellow disciples." Eteonian signaled the people of Spirit Race and Heavenly Jade Gate to come out. When they saw the people of Spirit Race, they were stunned. The Spirit Race was in an uproar because they didn't know where they were transferred to. They didn't expect that they would be here. Everyone may not be very clear about this, so let me briefly introduce it. The great elder coughed and explained. The manor head's cultivation is at core transformation realm. He killed the ministers of Netherworld Empire in Dragon Gathering City. The Manor Head protected the spirit race from the invasion of the spirit race, and he also killed General Long and General Foam. Do you understand? The Great Elder didn't know whether it was Etianyun or Heavenly Dragon Empire, so he didn't explain it. However, this was enough to shock them to the point of speechlessness. The words that came out one after another left them flabbergasted. They didn't know what to say, and for a moment, they were unable to digest this content. The shock was too strong for them. One after another, it's normal for them to be speechless. During the explanation, the system's voice finally popped up. Successfully completed main quest, make Jade Sect strong. Upgrade Heavenly Jade Sect to Heavenly Jade Mansion and transfer it to Heavenly Border Continent. Reward, 100 million EXP, 1 million Crazy Point 100. 000 Proficiency, can be allocated to Martial Arts or Mastery, 100. 000 Sin Point, HP *1. Because of the merger of many forces and the creation of a new sect, the reward is doubled. Reward, 200 million EXP, 2 million Crazy Point, 200. 000 Proficiency, 200. 000 Sin Point, HP *2. Chapter 423. The rewards had been doubled. This was something that he had not expected. Everything had been doubled. This was shocking enough. His EXP became 200 million. In fact, it was not a big deal, but the rewards were doubled. Ding! Congratulations to player Etianyun for successfully breaking through to first level Void Spirit stage. After getting so many rewards, Etianyun finally broke through to Void Spirit stage, a cultivation level that most cultivators dream of, and now he broke through to Void Spirit stage. If it was a normal cultivator breaking through to Void Spirit stage, it would definitely cause a commotion, but for Etianyun, it looked very normal. No one knew that he had broken through. Ding! Successfully accepted main quest, destroy the Netherworld Empire. Kill the Netherworld Great Emperor. Reward, 500. 000. 000 EXP, 5. 000. 000 Crazy Point, 500. 000 Mastery, assign anywhere, 500. 000 Sin Point, and the title Punisher. After completing the main quest, there was no quest to upgrade the Netherworld Empire. Instead, there was a quest to destroy the Netherworld Empire. Etianyun didn't expect that the next main quest would be to destroy the Netherworld Empire. It seems that even the system wants him to destroy the Netherworld Empire. This reward was even better. It was 5 times more than the previous main quest. Etianyun knew that the higher the reward, the higher the difficulty. It seems that the Netherworld Empire still has a strong hidden force after so many of its generals were eradicated. Etianyun's eyes flashed. If that was the case, then it would not be easy to deal with them. But if they really have such a strong force, why didn't the Netherworld Great Emperor use it immediately? Most of the people were still immersed in shock, and after a while, they finally recovered from the shock, and then they were talking about this matter with each other. The impact on Yang Yu and the others was the biggest. They had a good relationship with Etianyun, but suddenly he became a mansion lord, and it was a very heaven-defying one. The only thing left was for the 3 of them to work together, which was not difficult. With his reputation, a lot of people recognized him as the mansion lord. As for the matter of merging, they were also discussing it. When they found out that it was a force established by their ancestor, the feeling of rejection quickly decreased a lot. Spirit King Xiantian is the first Void Spirit Stage cultivator in Heaven's Top Mansion, so he respects him a lot. So when he was integrated into Heaven's Top Mansion, the feeling of rejection was reduced a lot. Because they were all on the same side, how could there be any sense of rejection? Etianyun let Shishuyun and the others handle the run-in. There were many people in charge of the major affairs of the sect, so he didn't need to worry about it at all. The key was that it would be easier for Shishuyun and Yue to manage it. He was only responsible for putting them together and playing as the vanguard. He did not need to worry about the other trivial matters. After giving the instructions, Etianyun found a cultivation room and went into seclusion. He had to start sorting out related matters such as leveling up. He didn't want to be an idiot and talk to himself. I can finally calm down. Leveling crazy system. Ding. Deducting 10 million crazy points. Successfully leveled up crazy mode system. Effect increased to 16 times. Proficiency increased to 4 times. Sin value increased to 2 times. Medicinal pill effect increased to 2 times, including any medicinal pill that increases EXP and enhancement. Every minute consumes 10,000 crazy points. The next level is 50 million crazy points. As expected, 8 times became 16 times, and the next level is 32 times. But it requires 50 million crazy points. It's really crazy. He doesn't know how long it will take to level up. But for this multiplier, he will definitely work hard to save up enough crazy points. 32 times increase in strength is simply heaven-defying, especially now that there are so many effects. He is even more looking forward to the later effects. Double the effect of all medicinal pills. This is a good thing. Etienne's eyes lit up. Medicinal pills can double the effect, but it was limited to recovery medicinal pill. It has no effect on cultivation medicinal pill or experience medicinal pill. Now that it is effective, it means that refining a batch of accumulating soul pill can directly double the price. Originally 30 million experience medicinal pill, now it becomes 60 million experience medicinal pill. As for the sin value, there was no need to talk about it. Doubling the sin value was already a pretty good effect. This level up is really worth it. Etienne took a deep breath. Although he expected it, he was still shocked. The effect of 16 times burst out. He really can't imagine what kind of value it will be. Then there was a lot of crazy point left. He used most of it in one breath, first allocated to instant transmission, then allocated to lucky aura, directly used up 1.5 million crazy point. Ding, successfully leveled up instant transmission to level 2. Can instantly reach any position within 10 miles. Cooldown time is 5 minutes. The next level requires 2 million crazy points. Ding, successfully leveled up luck aura to level 3. After using the luck greatly increased to 15 times, consumes 5,000 crazy points per second. The next level requires 5 million crazy points. Not bad, not bad. He upgraded both of them. The effect immediately doubled, and the crazy points required also doubled. Now there is not much crazy point left. There is still more than 1 million crazy point left. Overall, it is still a lot, but if used to level up, it is really not much. Now any skill requires too much crazy point. It's not enough at all. In the past, he thought that hundreds of thousands of crazy points was a lot, but now tens of millions is not a lot. He can use it all at once. It seems that I have to continue to earn crazy points. There are too many things that need to be upgraded. Etienne shook his head and immediately smiled. Let's see what is in the gift pack first. This thing will definitely not let me down. You have successfully unlocked the level 51 gift pack. You have received the Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. One chance to use the Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. 50% discount in the shop. Limited to 2 hours. 50x experience card. Level 61 upgrade gift pack. Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. This time I got a Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. It looks like I'll be able to get even more good stuff. Chapter 424. Let's take advantage of this chance to give it a try. Etienne didn't hesitate and immediately drew it. Unless he really had no time, he would draw it immediately. Following that, the huge Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette spun rapidly. In fact, there didn't seem to be much change. The things that could be obtained didn't change. It was still what it should be, and the probability of obtaining it also didn't change. What changed was what was inside, not what was on the surface. However, he didn't activate the lucky halo. He wanted to see what he could get with this chance. His luck value wasn't low. If it was still a consumable item, then he would accept it. After spinning a few times, the lottery roulette finally stopped, and the pointer pointed at the cultivation technique column. Thump! Accompanied by a sound, a wooden box fell into the inventory. The item drawn was neither good nor bad. At least it wasn't a consumable item. Of course, even if it was a consumable, there would still be something good, so he didn't feel that there was any problem without using the lucky halo. Unless he really wanted a divine skill type, he wouldn't use the lucky halo. I wonder what it will be. Onion opened the wooden box with excitement in his heart. Soon, a martial art appeared in front of him. Devouring Heaven Divine Art. Devouring Heaven Divine Art. Low-grade heaven level martial art. Extremely strong devouring effect. Able to devour all energy and turn it into one's own experience. The effect conflicts with the Dark North Divine Art and cannot be stacked together. The next level requires 1 million proficiency points to upgrade. The proficiency required wasn't much. To upgrade the Dark North Divine Art to the Heaven level, it required 1 million proficiency points to upgrade. To upgrade from low-grade Heaven level to middle grade, it also required 1 million proficiency points. Was it because the Dark North Divine Art was too heaven-defying, or was it because the Devouring Heaven Divine Art was too weak? In any case, it was too difficult to upgrade the Dark North Divine Art. He needed to absorb crazily often. Otherwise, it would be extremely difficult to accumulate 1 million proficiency points. So far, it was only 100 to 200,000 proficiency points. He was still short of 800,000 proficiency points. Even if he used up all the previous rewards, he still wouldn't be able to upgrade it. Therefore, the proficiency points given by completing the mission were just for show. Many of them required hundreds of thousands or even millions of proficiency points. There was no way to upgrade it. He could only wait until he was still lacking a bit of proficiency, and then he would use it again. Let me try the Heaven Devouring Divine Art. Onion stretched out his hand and twisted it in front of him. Suddenly, an astonishing suction force gushed out from his palm and sucked the table in front of him towards him. When it got close to his palm, it was instantly sucked into powder. All the spiritual energy inside was instantly absorbed, leaving only a bit of residue. Received 300 experience points. Not only did he gain experience points, but he could also absorb spiritual energy from objects. This was something that the Dark North Divine Art could not do. It could only absorb the spiritual power of living things. This Devouring Heaven Divine Art could devour the energy contained in any object, which was quite amazing. Whether it was the suction force or the devouring effect, it was much stronger than the Dark North Divine technique. From the looks of it, he could be replaced quickly. If he wanted to level up slowly, it would be too difficult. Onion would definitely choose to give up on leveling up. Not bad. Looks like I'll be using the Devouring Heaven Divine Art in the future. Onion's eyes lit up. Finally, he had a martial art that could replace the Devouring Heaven Divine Art. The rest of the items in the gift bag were very good. 50% discount in the mall was very interesting. He could use it when he needed to buy a lot of things in the future. The 50 times EXP card was also a new high. Super Enhanced Lottery Roulette. 2 million crazy points per draw. This is really ruthless. When Onion looked at the roulette again, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. 2 million crazy points is not a small number. It takes a long time to save up. There was nothing else left. Everything that should be leveled up has been leveled up, and everything that should be drawn has also been drawn. But the amount of experience required for the next level was a bit shocking. Originally, to break through from Core Transformation Peak to Void Spirit Stage only needed 200 million experience points. Now to break through from first layer to second layer of Void Spirit Stage, it needs 300 million experience points. This is really ruthless. It directly increased the experience points by 100 million. After finishing, Onion walked out of the cultivation room. The situation outside didn't change much. It was generally divided into two major parts. One is Heaven's Top Mansion. The other is Heaven's Immersing Ancient Ruins. Spirit Gate and Heavenly Jade Gate are still in Heaven's Immersing Ancient Ruins. People from Heaven's Top Mansion won't come in. Although there is no change here, but for the outside world, the change is too big. For a time, the news spread instantly, spread all over the Heavenly Boundary Continent, and the news even reached the Netherworld Empire. When they learned that a mysterious sect merged with Heaven's Top Mansion, they felt very strange. How could a mysterious force suddenly appear? There is no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world, especially such a large-scale move. It attracted a lot of attention. There were many people who went to inquire about this mysterious sect, but they were all completely shocked by what they heard. There was actually a spirit tribe in this mysterious sect. All of a sudden, it exploded. The spirit race that was previously hidden suddenly appeared in the heavenly boundary continent and merged with heaven's top mansion. What is this move? Is this a move to seek death? It's not easy to hide, and now it's exposed. What's the difference between this and seeking death? The reason why the spirit race was able to successfully hide was mainly because they hid in the earthly boundary continent, and they hid in Heavenly Jade Sect, which is undoubtedly quite hidden and safe. Originally, Heavenly Jade Sect was not eye-catching, so it was difficult to find them. Now that it's so eye-catching, it suddenly caused an uproar in the Netherworld Empire. Spirit Race appeared at this critical moment and dared to cooperate with Heaven's top mansion. Do they think that our Netherworld Empire is destroyed? The Imperial Preceptor and the Netherworld Emperor were extremely angry. This is a provocation to them. 2 of their generals died in the hands of the Spirit Race, so they have to be cautious. For a time, they were making preparations, planning how to completely eradicate the Spirit Race and capture all of them. While they were planning, Etianyin has already decided to take the initiative to attack the Netherworld Empire. This decision in the eyes of others is absolutely crazy, but Etianyin is not crazy. He feels that everything is ready. The only thing left is the news from the Spirit Race. Chapter 4:25. It didn't take long for the Spirit Race to return and bring the latest news about the Netherworld Empire to Etianyin. So far, the information he had obtained was quite simple. There were about 4 Void Spirit stage powerhouses, and the strongest among them were the Netherworld Great Emperor and the Imperial Teacher. The rest were the Imperial Generals, and their cultivation was also not low. They were all in the 2nd or 3rd layer of Void Spirit stage. As for the core transformation stage cultivators, there were at least 20 of them. Etianyin had killed a lot of them, but he didn't expect there to be so many left. The Netherworld Empire's foundation was really strong. In addition, he heard that the Netherworld Empire was preparing to send experts to suppress the Netherworld Empire. The Spirit Race must be avenged, especially at this critical moment. Some people in the room felt that Etianyan's action was quite irrational. It was tantamount to exposing the Spirit Race and putting the entire Heavenly Clouds mansion in a crisis. If they came quietly, there would be no problem. The Spirit Race had always been focused on hiding, and if they waited for a long time, they could definitely hurt the Netherworld Empire. However, Etianyin exposed them, which undoubtedly increased the difficulty of the operation. Etianyin didn't know that this approach was safer. Sneak attacks were always much easier than frontal attacks, but he still had to complete the main quest. There were so many EXP rewards, so many crazy points, and so many sin points. From the point of view of the people present, Etianyan's approach is undoubtedly a failure. It is simply the wrong approach. But from Etianyan's point of view, this was the only way to get the main quest reward. In his opinion, when he broke through to the Void Spirit stage, his crazy points would be the nightmare of the Netherworld Empire. He already crushed the Imperial Preceptor when he was in the 8 times crazy mode, so what about now? Needless to say, he was already determined to destroy the Netherworld Empire. He wanted to take advantage of the Netherworld Empire's weakness. The Netherworld Empire hadn't recovered yet, so it was best to continue the pursuit and completely destroy them. He had already told Rinlong that they would send people to gather after the arrangements were made. After understanding the general information, the conference room was silent, and no one knew what they were thinking. Well, I have a general idea. When the Heavenly Dragon Empire's people arrive, we will gather all our forces in the Heavenly Clouds Mansion and fly directly to the Netherworld continent to destroy the Netherworld Empire. Etianyin said this at this time, breaking the silence, but his words are shocking. Many people have been looking at him in horror. Taking the initiative to attack? Was he crazy? Young Lord, this is very unwise. The situation in the Netherworld Empire is very dangerous, and we only have a small part of the information. The foundation of the Netherworld Empire is not as simple as it looks on the surface. I heard that there are still several old bastards sleeping in the Netherworld Empire. Once the Netherworld Empire is in crisis, they will all come out. This is not a child's play. That's right. It's already dangerous for us to be exposed right now, especially as astrals. Taking the initiative to attack now is simply courting death. The Netherworld Empire is a colossus. It's not easy to deal with them. Mansion Lord, please be careful. It wasn't the spiritual sect or the Heavenly Jade sect who objected, but the Heaven's Top Mansion. Their loyalty is not high. Etianyin has only been with them for a short time, and they have always been under the management of other elders. Although some of them know that Etianyin is not weak, they haven't been with him for a long time, so they don't trust him very much. The spiritual sect and Heavenly Jade sect were completely under Etianyin's command. They would do whatever Etianyin said without any hesitation. It seemed unwise, and Etianyin might have his own plan. If they really failed, they would also accept it. However, Etianyin really had his own plan, and that was to complete the main task, but he couldn't say it here. I'm just moving the time forward a little bit. Do you really think that the Netherworld Empire will just stay quiet and not come out? Etianyin said indifferently. According to the information we received, the Netherworld Empire's intention to invade us has not diminished. In fact, it will become more and more intense. The Heaven's Top Mansion is one of their targets. At most, this place will be peaceful for 1 or 2 years. What do you think we can do in 1 or 2 years? According to the information collected by the spirit race was very sensitive to spiritual power. They could always sense that there was a strong force at the bottom of the Netherworld Empire. The Netherworld Empire's ambition was not small. It was not clear when it would erupt, but one thing was for sure: it wouldn't be long. Once it broke out, the people would be plunged into an abyss of misery and suffering. It didn't matter if they had provoked the Netherworld Empire or not. The only result was death. Everyone looked at each other. No one refuted Etianyin's words. So many times we were passive defense. This time we will take the initiative to attack the Netherworld Empire. Etianyin said in a deep voice. We believe that with our strength, we can definitely destroy the Netherworld Empire. Even if we can't destroy the Netherworld Empire, at least we can dampen their spirit. Destroy the Netherworld Empire? Where did your confidence come from? They were too afraid of the Netherworld Empire, so they didn't trust Etianyin. Because I have them, do you understand? Sure, Shuiyun, who was standing beside Etianyin, didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. All of them chose to support Etianyin. It seemed ridiculous, but for Etianyin, as long as they supported him, it was enough. With his strength alone, it was enough to shake everything. With their support, he felt even more confident. It was just that simple. At this time, a guard hurried in from outside and said, reporting to young Lord, there are experts from the Heavenly Dragon Empire outside. Quick, let them come in. Etianyin's eyes lit up. Finally, they are done with their business. After a while, familiar figures of Ren Long appeared in the hall. He brought a group of experts with him, but Ren Zhiro didn't come. This was because Ren Zhiro had to guard the Heavenly Dragon Empire and ensure the safety of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Ren Long brought a lot of experts with him, which made the hall full of experts. Brother Ren, you are here. Etianyin walked towards Ren Long and said, Yes, you asked us to come. How can we not come? Ren Long said with a smile. Chapter 426. As soon as they arrived, Etianyin was ready to leave. The people of Heaven's Top Mansion didn't know what to say, but Ren Long and the others didn't object at all. They completely followed Etianyin's instructions. All of the people who came with Ren Long have seen Etianyin's power before, and they have absolute trust in him. They didn't object at all. They supported Etianyin wholeheartedly. Your Highness, they shouted in a respectful tone, expressing their respect for Etianyin, and even more so, they admire Etianyin. If it weren't for Etianyin, the Heavenly Dragon Empire would have suffered a lot of casualties, so they were very respectful. Wang Ye, Heaven's Top Mansion's people frowned. Their mansion lord is still Wang Ye? Etianyin didn't explain anything. He just let them have a good talk. After a brief introduction, they had a general understanding of Ren Long's identity. Especially when they knew that Ren Long was the Heavenly Dragon Empire's great emperor. Many people were shocked. They thought that Etianyin called for help. But who knew that it was the Heavenly Dragon Empire's great emperor? The key point was that Tianyun was the Heavenly Dragon Empire's Royal Highness, and after a stroll, he became a Royal Highness? You brat, after a stroll, you became a Royal Highness? You're really something. Shuiyun rolled her eyes. Previously, Tianyun said that he would go to the Heavenly Dragon Empire for help, but who knew that he would become a Royal Highness? Of course, otherwise, how could our Heavenly Cloud's mansion become stronger? Tianyun smiled at Shuiyun. After a brief understanding, Tianyun announced, "Then get ready to go to the Netherworld Empire." Yi Qingxian nodded and immediately followed the spirit race's old ancestor to control the Great Array to fly to the Netherworld Empire. The journey would be very dangerous, so they must be prepared. Although the palace could fly, flying wasn't the palace's privilege. The other side also had a lot of core transformation experts and a lot of flying demon beasts, so it wouldn't be a problem to intercept them in the air. King Yi, it seems like you're very confident to make a move so soon. Rinlong's eyes lit up. In front of outsiders, he still addressed him as king, but between them, he called him brother. Of course. Tianyun smiled and said, "Even if we can't take it down, the Netherworld Empire needs to know how strong we are. Otherwise, they will think that only they can attack, and we can only defend." Well said. Rinlong smiled and his eyes flashed, but it's going to be very difficult. It's very difficult to break into the Netherworld Empire's capital. For so many years, basically no force has been able to break into the Netherworld Empire. If we can do it, it's already a great feat. The most heavily guarded place was the Netherworld Imperial capital. Whether it was the experts or the defense, it was far ahead of other places. It was completely indestructible. Ever since its establishment, the Netherworld Empire had never been breached. Even before the Netherworld Empire's capital was attacked, it had already been destroyed. Although the Heavenly Dragon Empire had never been breached, there had been many times when enemies had attacked the Imperial capital. If not for the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure protecting it, it would have fallen long ago. A great feat. What about destroying the Netherworld Empire? What is that? Tianyun smiled and said, "That's a matter that will be passed down through the ages. Among all the empires, the Netherworld Empire is one of the most powerful empires in the world. It will definitely shock all the other empires." Rinlong said with a smile. Passed down through the ages, Tianyun's eyes flashed. The entire Heavens Immersing Ancient Ruins rumbled, but it was not called Heavens Immersing Ancient Ruins anymore. Instead, it had a new name, Heavenly Cloud Shrine. The huge shrine took off again. It didn't stay here for too long. But this time, they were going to the Netherworld Empire. Most of the disciples stayed here, and their hearts were filled with excitement. They were going to the Netherworld Empire, a very terrifying place. How could they not be excited and nervous? Tianyun has already issued an order for them to be ready to attack at any time. Of course, this attack on the Netherworld Empire was not just for him. Otherwise, why would he train so many disciples to be ready to fight at any time? The speed of the Heavenly Cloud Shrine wasn't fast, but it wasn't slow either. The news quickly reached the ears of the Netherworld Empire and shocked them. They didn't expect that the other party would take the initiative to attack them instead of waiting to bear their anger. This was completely different from the previous forces, who wouldn't immediately flee when they heard the name of the Netherworld Empire. This new force, Heavenly Cloud Mansion, was very bold and took the initiative to attack. Is this Heavenly Cloud Mansion tired of living? Or is the decision maker of the spirit race tired of living? They think that we are easy to bully. The Imperial Preceptor's face was gloomy. They were just thinking about how to deal with these spirit race, but now they had already attacked them. Send out the Eagle Army, and you will personally lead them to destroy them. Netherworld Emperor's expression was ice-cold as he said in a deep voice, "It has been too long since anyone knew the power of our Netherworld Imperial capital. Do you really think that we have lost everything just because we lost one battle? Let the 2 Imperial generals go with you. If you still can't deal with them, don't come back to see me." "Yes," the Imperial Preceptor said in a deep voice. "This time, I will not make a mistake." After the Imperial Preceptor bowed to the Netherworld Emperor, he turned around and left. This time, He even brought the imperial generals with him. If they had been careless before and let the two generals die, then they had to be very careful this time. Not only did the imperial teacher go, but the imperial protector also came along. 3 void spirit stage powerhouses. If they still couldn't conquer it, then they really didn't need to go back to see others. If they met Etianyan, what kind of expression would they have? According to the plan, the heavenly cloud shrine flew directly to the netherworld imperial capital. The elders knew the location, so they didn't need to take a detour. When they flew halfway, they suddenly saw a lot of black spots in front of them. As they got closer, they found out that those black spots were a group of eagles. There were more than 1,000 eagles with a spirit core stage soldier riding on them. This was a great show of force. They were absolutely invincible in the sky, and they wanted to take down the heavenly cloud shrine. Other than the eagle army, the imperial preceptor and the others had brought a large group of experts over. It could be said that they had put in a lot of effort this time. Reporting to the palace master, the Netherworld Empire's imperial preceptor personally led the eagle army and 2 imperial generals. The guard outside hurriedly ran in and said, all of them were shocked. Other than the eagle army, the imperial preceptor had personally led the army over. With him personally leading the army, there was no doubt that the power of the eagle army would be unleashed to the extreme. Chapter 427. This time, the Netherworld Empire was very cautious. In addition to the imperial preceptor, there was also the imperial guard general. If the Netherworld Emperor could move at will, it would be like a tiger fighting a rabbit. It might seem like he was lowering his status, but he had repeatedly made the Netherworld Empire suffer losses. Even if he had to lower his status, he would destroy the Netherworld Empire. The imperial preceptor led the army here, and all of them immediately made their preparations. Before they came, they had already anticipated the appearance of a strong army. Sure enough, before they even got close to the Netherworld Empire's capital, the Netherworld Empire had already sent their elites. No wonder those who planned to attack the Netherworld Empire's capital were eliminated before they even got close to the capital. With such a powerful army, how could they not repel the invaders? Young lord, what should we do now? Everyone looked at Etianyan and wanted to see what he was going to do. Etianyan smiled indifferently and said, calm down, you don't need to do anything. From now on, just watch my performance. You don't need to do anything to deal with them. They were shocked. Didn't this mean that Etianyan wanted to deal with thousands of people alone? Although the people riding the eagles were all spirit core cultivators, the leader was the imperial preceptor, so it was not easy to deal with them. However, they didn't say anything. Since Etianyan said so, they could only act according to the situation. Following Etianyan to the gate of the Heavenly Cloud Temple, Etianyan narrowed his eyes and looked at the approaching army with a faint smile on his face. He opened the Sinmal and saw that there were only 3 sets in front of him, but he quickly aimed at one of them. Sword Master Set. Sword Master Set. Level requirement. Level 30. After equipping it, the wearer can learn to control the sword formation at any time. All swords within a radius of 10 miles that are high-grade spirit weapons will be under the wearer's control. The wearer can control up to 10,000 swords and has the effect of sword flight. Price, 100,000 sin points. Exchange for Sword Master Set. Successfully deducted 100,000 sin points. Obtained Sword Master Set. Sword Master Set. In an instant, he equipped his swordsman's suit and wore a thin, white robe. Because he was standing in front of the gate, his robe fluttered in the wind, making him look elegant. The people standing beside him didn't feel any difference. The swordsman's set didn't have any powerful attributes to begin with. It could be said that it didn't have any attributes, so it didn't exude any domineering aura. He could only feel that his aura seemed to have changed slightly, as if he had become a different person, but he couldn't tell what had changed. Others might not be able to sense anything, but Etianyan could sense all the weapons within 10 miles. He could clearly sense them in any corner. As long as they were within this range, he could immediately sense them. There's a city nearby. So many weapons, so many. Etianyan closed his eyes and sensed all the weapons. As the distance between the two of them shortened, many people started to feel anxious. They didn't know when Tianyun would make his move. Could it be that he would only make his move when he was close to them? Although the Heavenly Cloud Shrine was very sturdy, it wouldn't last long under a fierce attack. As the Imperial Preceptor got closer and closer, his expression became colder and colder. Eagle Army, listen up. Shoot down their shrine. Let's see if they still dare to fly in the air. Yes! The Eagle Army of more than 1,000 people shouted in unison. It was quite imposing, and their eyes were full of killing intent. Just like the eagles they were riding on, a cold light gradually appeared in their eyes, like a pair of eagle eyes, completely integrated with the demonic beasts they were riding. They clenched the longbow in their hands, ready to attack the Heavenly Cloud Shrine. As long as the shrine was slightly damaged, it would fall down. If they fell down, those with high cultivation would definitely be fine, but those with low cultivation would definitely be smashed into meat paste. Therefore, the flying shrine looked domineering, but in fact, it was equivalent to a live target. Under the fierce attack, it would definitely not be able to withstand the attack and quickly fall down. More than half of them were already dead before the battle even started, so no one would like to control the shrine to fly around. It was undoubtedly the behavior of a fool. Therefore, the current behavior of the Heavenly Clouds Mansion was the behavior of a fool in their eyes. While many people were worried, Tianyun gently raised his hand, and in an instant a lot of spiritual tool-level weapons flew up from the ground, from the Heavenly Clouds Mansion, and from the Eagle Army. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of spiritual tools gathered. 2,000, 3,000, 6,000, 7,000, 10,000. 10,000 spiritual tools flew up from the ground and instantly surrounded the Heavenly Clouds Mansion. The surrounding area was shrouded by the dense sword array. The sudden change shocked everyone. How could there be so many spiritual swords flying up and floating in the Heavenly Clouds Mansion's direction? Seeing so many spiritual tools, the Imperial Preceptor's pupil shrank. He felt that something was wrong. For them, spiritual tools were basically no different from garbage. They wouldn't pick them up even if they were thrown on the ground. But now, there were tens of thousands of spiritual swords, so the significance was different, especially those that could fly in the air. 10,000 swords returned to origin. Tianyun suddenly opened his eyes, and a sword light burst out from his eyes. It was as if a real spiritual sword had shot out from his eyes. Under his control, tens of thousands of spiritual swords stabbed at an extremely fast speed. The speed was so fast that most cultivators couldn't see it. Although the Sword Master set didn't have any effect bonus, it could still exert the power of the wearer. This meant that these tens of thousands of spiritual swords were thrown by a Void Spirit stage powerhouse. Quick retreat! The Imperial Preceptor roared in anger as he quickly erected a protective barrier to block the incoming spiritual swords. However, there were too many of them. Even a Void Spirit expert wouldn't be able to block all of them at once. Whoosh! Whoosh! But it was all too late. An astonishing number of spirit swords pierced through at high speed, and in an instant, large swathes of the Eagle Army were pierced with bloody holes. The bodies of the soldiers standing on them stiffened, and their eyes widened. Then they fell down from the eagles. The number of spiritual swords quickly increased, and in less than a moment, more than half of the Eagle Army was dead. A large amount of blood splashed down from the sky like a red waterfall. Similarly, Tianyun gained a lot of EXP, but because his cultivation was too low, it was too little for him. Even with the effect of 16 times, the EXP was still too little. But it was better than nothing, so he still had to activate Crazy Mode. Chapter 428. Tens of thousands of spiritual swords were of relatively low grade, but their power was definitely not weak. In the blink of an eye, more than 700 to 800 of the Winged Eagle Army were gone. The remaining ones were able to survive largely because of the defense generals and the Grand Tutor. Otherwise, the remaining 200 to 300 people would have died long ago. Boom, boom, boom. The Grand Tutor and the others tried their best to resist these spiritual swords. Although it was not difficult to resist, it was not easy either. After all, there were too many of them. It could be said that there was no way to avoid them. How could they avoid them? They could only attack crazily and destroy these spiritual swords. Only by destroying these spirit swords would these spirit swords stop attacking. If they simply knocked them away, it would not have any effect. They would still attack crazily. However, the Grand Tutor and the others were strong. With a fierce wave of the sacred weapons in their hands, a large number of spiritual swords were broken and fell from the sky. However, after a batch was cut down, a new batch flew up from all directions and attacked fiercely again. There was no end to the crazy attacks. What kind of martial arts is this? How can it control so many spiritual swords? The Grand Tutor and the others were going crazy. These weapons did not cause any harm to them, but they caused great interference to their movements. The most important thing was that they had no time to help the Winged Eagle army. They were already struggling to resist the attacks of these spiritual swords. Damn it, the Winged Eagle army is going to be wiped out. The Grand Tutor's eyes were red. They had just brought people over, and they were already dead. This was too fast. They did not even see the other party's face, and they could already retreat. Damn it, I will kill my way over and destroy them. There are many spiritual swords, but they are too weak. Another Grand Tutor roared and waved the giant hammer in his hand. It turned into a golden light and swept around. A large number of spiritual swords were smashed into pieces. Then, he quickly flew over to the divine temple. Along the way, he smashed these spiritual swords crazily. They only had a little effect and could not hurt him at all. This was the reason why Tianyun did not change to the swordsman's suit. In a real group battle, the swordsman's suit was almost invincible. The premise was that the opponent's cultivation was relatively low. If the cultivation was slightly higher, these spiritual swords would not cause much damage. The grade of the weapon was too low. If it was a soul weapon or even a sacred weapon, then it would be different. The other party would not be able to destroy it easily, so they would be able to continuously attack it. The effect would naturally be different. Unfortunately, the effects of the swordsman equipment set were limited to this, unless one bought a high-grade equipment set. Although they couldn't avoid it, they didn't need to. They could destroy the spiritual sword with a single sweep. He would be invincible against those with lower cultivation, especially against these legions. Was it a competition of numbers? Then what he was competing on was whether he had enough weapons. There were quite a few cities in the surroundings, and it was possible to control spiritual swords to fly over within a range of 5 kilometers. Unless all the spiritual swords were gone, they could continuously control spiritual swords to fly over to replenish the consumption of the spiritual swords that they had destroyed. In any case, these spirit swords didn't belong to him, so it didn't matter if they were broken. Moreover, they belonged to the people of the Netherworld Empire, so it was already benevolent of him to just collect their weapons. If he killed his way through, he would really have to kill his way through. National Protector, huh? Tianyun narrowed his eyes. The Ice Frost Divine bow appeared in his hand, and he quickly pulled it to its limit. A thick arrow appeared on the bowstring, and he aimed at the Protector General who was charging towards him, preparing to shoot. The surrounding spiritual swords were still crazily attacking, and didn't stop at all. The surrounding spiritual swords didn't interfere with his other weapons, which meant that he could still use other weapons to attack, and these spiritual swords only needed a thought to attack at will. Go! A cold light burst out of Tianyun's eyes, and then the ice frost arrow in his hand shot out. The arrow had a battle power of up to 60 million, and this was the ultimate effect of the Ice Frost Divine Bow. Crack! Another crack appeared on the Ice Frost Divine Bow. It was almost reaching its limit, and if it continued to be used, it would break. Its durability was limited, and the explosive power was too strong, and if it continued to be used, it would definitely break. With his violent power, unless it was a sacred tool, it wouldn't be able to satisfy his power, and it wouldn't be able to release its true power. Perhaps a real expert could be very strong with a leaf, but it was only limited to a part of its power, and it wouldn't be able to completely burst out its power. Weapons were always an important partner, and if it couldn't keep up, then it wouldn't be able to fully exert its power, and might as well use its own fist. Swish! An ice frost arrow pierced through, And when the National Protector fiercely swung his sledgehammer and rushed over, he immediately felt a sense of crisis. When he saw the ice frost arrow piercing through, his expression changed, and he quickly picked up the golden hammer and smashed it down. But the arrow had already blasted over. Boom! When the golden hammer smashed into the ice frost arrow, the effect completely exploded, and a cold air quickly enveloped the National Protector, and the entire area within a radius of 1 mile was enveloped by this overbearing cold air. Even those spiritual swords were frozen and fell from the sky. This cold air didn't distinguish between friend and foe, and as long as it touched it, it would freeze, whether it was one's own people or the enemy. After a while, when the cold air dissipated, the National Protector had already fallen from the sky and smashed onto the ground, completely broken into pieces. He was completely dead, and it was impossible to save him. In the distance, the National Master's expression changed, and when he saw this cold air, his heart suddenly trembled. Could it be? Could it be that guy? His gaze focused, and he saw Etienne standing at the door from afar. The current Etienne had already changed his face, and he wasn't the mysterious powerhouse he saw before. However, this familiar power, this familiar attack, made him suspect that the Etienne in front of him was that Lord of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Retreat! The National Master roared, bit his lips, and a stream of blood essence entered his body. Without hesitation, he turned around and fled. He didn't plan to stop, and he didn't plan to save the winged eagle army that was still alive. He didn't even care about the National Protector, and he turned around and fled. The other National Protector was stunned, but when he saw that the National Master had fled, he also quickly chased after him, ignoring the winged eagle army, and fled. One arrow could instantly kill his companion, so if he approached, he would undoubtedly end up like his companion. Due to the lack of 2 powerhouses to resist, the remaining winged eagle army was easily killed, and not a single one was left. A large army was completely annihilated, and not a single one was left. Bloody enough, ruthless enough, this was Etienne. Chapter 429. There was no need for anyone to make a move at all. The other party had already fled in panic, especially the Imperial Preceptor, who had turned around and fled without stopping. He ran as fast as he could. The Imperial Preceptor saw the Imperial Preceptor running away. So how could he not run? No matter how unwilling they were, they still chose to retreat. Etienne put down his ice divine bow and frowned. He didn't even have time to attack, but the Imperial Preceptor ran away in an instant. Because the distance between them was quite far, it would take some effort to catch up with them. But Etienne didn't chase after the Imperial Preceptor. If the Imperial Preceptor fell into the enemy's hands, it would be troublesome. They ran really fast. It would have been better if we had waited for them to get closer. Etienne shook his head. The people behind him were shocked. The Imperial Preceptor was killed in a blink of an eye. This kind of lethality was really amazing. Even the Imperial Preceptor was killed by an arrow. A single person could take on all of them. Did he really need their help? Isn't he too strong? Princey. This? Could it be that Mansion Master is the prince of the Heavenly Dragon Empire who defeated the Imperial Preceptor? Yes, I suddenly remembered something. The Netherworld Empire's army was defeated by the princes of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Mansion Master is a prince of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. How many princes are there in the Heavenly Dragon Empire? Is this true? Is our Imperial Preceptor that very strong Imperial Preceptor? Whether it was the Heaven's Top Mansion, Heavenly Jade Sect, or Spirit Sect, they suddenly remembered this matter. Etienne didn't specifically mention this matter. In fact, there was no need to do so, but now they suddenly remembered this matter. The Imperial Preceptor was defeated by a prince from the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Could it be? There is only one Imperial Preceptor in the Heavenly Dragon Empire. Ren Long recovered from his shock. He smiled and said, "That is King Yi, your Manor Lord." Ren Long confirmed it for them, and they looked at each other, their eyes filled with shock. It was not a dream to be able to shake the entire Netherworld Empire by himself. Moreover, King Yi was their Manor Lord, the one who commanded them. All of a sudden, Etienne's prestige exploded in the entire Heavenly Clouds mansion. After learning about it, they worshipped him even more. It was not the first time that the Netherworld Empire was repelled by their palace lord, but it was the second time. This news was shocking. Those who didn't know much about Etienne before were now completely clear. He knew that his mansion lord was very powerful. He was able to scare away the Netherworld Empire's imperial preceptor. This is the world of the young. Our spirit king will certainly lead us to glory and destroy the Netherworld Empire. The spirit race's old ancestor said excitedly. His old face was slightly red, and he was very excited. Yes, the spirit king will certainly lead us to glory. The spirit race's people shouted loudly. They were more and more convinced that Etienne could lead them to glory. It was just a slogan before, but now it seemed that it would definitely come true. The first step to glory was to eradicate the Netherworld Empire. All of a sudden, everyone began to shout. Their prestige had reached its peak. Shuiyun, who was standing next to Etienne, showed a faint smile. Her beautiful eyes were filled with admiration, but more than that, she was gratified. The waste who had no blood and chi in the past had now become a super expert who could fight against the Netherworld Empire. Thank you for your trust, but we can't be blindly confident, and we can't be careless, Etienne said in a deep voice. The Imperial Preceptor probably recognized me, so he didn't dare to confront me head-on. It is very likely that he is hiding in the Netherworld Empire's capital, waiting for our arrival. The Netherworld Empire's capital is their territory, so there must be a lot of grand arrays around. So, this is the real beginning. Before it ends, we must not be careless. Etienne was not particularly optimistic, nor was he particularly arrogant. He knew that he was a lot stronger now, but there were many things that he couldn't be careless about. He couldn't relax until the last moment. If he was hit by a dirty trick, then he would lose everything. Everyone nodded their heads and quickly calmed down, but they still couldn't suppress the excitement in their hearts. No wonder Etienne was so bold. With this kind of strength, who wouldn't be bold? If the Netherworld Empire didn't deal a heavy blow to the Netherworld Empire, they would think that they were invincible and could attack others unscrupulously. When the morale of the Netherworld Empire skyrocketed, the situation here once again spread to the entire Netherworld Empire. Many people saw that tens of thousands of spiritual swords floating in the air easily killed the Eagle Army, and even the Imperial Preceptor was forced to flee. For a time, the prestige of the Netherworld Empire fell to the bottom. Many cultivators had the idea of escaping from the Netherworld Empire. They didn't dare to stay here any longer. Once the Netherworld Empire fell, it would be the end of them, because the Heavenly Dragon Empire will not let the Netherworld Empire off. They will certainly lead an army to invade the Netherworld continent and take over the Netherworld continent. When the Imperial Preceptor rushed back to the Netherworld Empire's capital, he immediately knelt down in the main hall. He didn't dare to look at the Netherworld Emperor. Great Emperor, I don't have the face to see you. I thought that I was full of confidence, but I didn't expect that I would meet the opponent who could control tens of thousands of spiritual swords and easily killed our Eagle Army. Before he walked out of the gate, he confidently said that he would definitely be fine. If he lost, he wouldn't have the face to come back. Now he could only come back obediently, and it was a crushing defeat. I have already understood the situation. What kind of martial art is this? I have never seen such a strange martial art that can control tens of thousands of spiritual swords at once. The Netherworld Emperor looked at the Imperial Preceptor coldly and said, "It seems that this time, someone has broken the record and successfully arrived at the Netherworld Empire's capital. I'm ashamed." The Nation Master's eyes were full of anger, but more than that, he was unwilling. I originally wanted to fight with him, but I gave up the idea in the end because only in the Netherworld Imperial capital can I exert all my strength. Those who come here must die. If I can't stop them, then I am willing to perish together with them and never come back. The Imperial Preceptor, as a divine rune grandmaster, had arranged countless formations in the Netherworld Empire's capital. Chapter 430. After this little interlude, The heavenly cloud shrine continued to fly towards the Netherworld Empire without stopping for a single moment. Of course, no one dared to intercept them along the way. Who would dare to confront Eteonyon at this time? No one dares to confront Eteonyon head-on. Anyone who dares to do so is courting death. Near the Heavenly Cloud Temple, there were a lot of spirit swords floating around him, but he quickly took them back to the Heavenly Cloud Temple. This consumption is really high. Eteonyon took a deep breath. The consumption of controlling tens of thousands of spirit swords is really amazing. Fortunately, his cultivation is higher. If his cultivation is lower, he estimated that controlling a few thousand spirit swords would be his limit. If he forcibly controls many spirit swords, it will certainly consume a lot of spiritual power, and he won't be able to maintain it for too long. When a pile of spirit swords flew in and landed on the ground, stacking into a pile of spirit swords, Eteonyon couldn't help but sigh. With the increase in grade, he can snatch the opponent's weapon with just a thought. This is really overbearing. If the weapon is snatched away immediately, what is the point of fighting? However, it is limited to the sword type of weapon. He can't control the rest. After all, this set is called Sword Master Set, not an all-rounder set. It can only control sword-shaped weapons, but it is already quite powerful. When you check the Sin Shop, there is a new set of equipment on top of the Sword Master set, just like the Evil Dragon set. After purchasing, there will be a new set, and this Sword Master set is also the same. Sword Saint Set. 50 pieces of equipment. Can transform into Sword Saint. All long swords within 10 miles within the range of high-grade Sacred Tool are under your control. Can control up to 10,000 long swords. Comes with Sword Array. 10,000 swords is one. Consumes 100,000 crazy points to detonate all weapons, bursting out the power of all weapons to kill the enemy. Price is 1 million Sin points. Sure enough, after buying a new set of Sin equipment, this set of equipment will appear, otherwise it will not appear. According to this deduction, the Evil God equipment set or the Sword Saint equipment set would only appear after the purchase of the Evil God equipment set. This kind of equipment that can only appear after buying a new set seems to be a bit fixed. If as the level increases, higher grade of Sin equipment will appear. In this way, he can skip this low-grade set and buy a high-grade set. It seems that the reason I didn't buy it is because this set is too overpowered. Eteonyon simply guessed. As for why this is the case, he is not very clear. In short, he can only buy them one by one. Kingy, how did you do it? How did you control so many spiritual swords to fend off the enemy? Renlong couldn't help but ask. His question attracted the attention of many people. They had never seen such a powerful control ability. It wasn't a problem for cultivators who had reached the core transformation stage or above to fight with their swords, but they couldn't control so many weapons at the same time. Well, I can't really explain it clearly. It requires a very strong mental strength, and it must be matched with martial arts. Eteonyon simply explained, this is not nonsense. It does require a strong mental power to be able to control it perfectly. He felt that he had to consume a lot of mental power, otherwise he wouldn't be able to control it. Strong mental power? This requires a very high level of mental power. If I can cultivate it, it will be amazing. Renlong's eyes were full of envy, but he didn't force Eteonyon to hand over a piece of Sword Saint Eteonyon's sword. The others nodded in agreement. If they could control it like this, wouldn't they be invincible? If each of them could control 10,000 swords, who would dare to stop them? How do I say this? In fact, except for me, no one can cultivate it. Eteonyon smiled slightly. This was not wrong. It was simply the problem of this set of Sword Master set. Without this set, he couldn't control so many swords. It's just that he can't give it to them. He can only equip it himself. These sets are not like other martial arts that can be bought from the shop and then given to them to cultivate. The set of Sin Mall can only stay in the special equipment bar of Sin Mall. It can't be taken out and given to them. If they could take it out at will, it would be against heaven's will. If they could just give a few sets to them, they would really be invincible. It's a pity that this can't be done. It's not that he is stingy. But some people don't believe what Eteonyon said. They may not be able to cultivate it, but Sir Shuiyun or Renlong can't. They didn't say it out loud. They could only think about it in their hearts. Renlong and the others didn't ask about it. They just nodded to show that they were very curious about it, but they didn't insist on it. Everyone has their own secrets. Even if they don't say it out loud, it's normal. Why should they share the things that they have worked so hard to get? In any case, when everyone saw how overbearing Etion was, they felt that as long as Etion is by their side, they will definitely win this battle. Even if they can't win, at least they can severely damage the Netherworld Empire. Then they all began to prepare, because soon they will arrive at the Netherworld Empire, a place that many forces can't get close to. They were completely killed outside before they could even get close to it. This is how terrifying the Netherworld Empire's capital is. As time went by, they quickly approached the Netherworld Empire's capital. From afar, they could see the huge city of the Netherworld Empire's capital. An invisible aura emanated from the distance, giving people a very oppressive feeling. It doesn't look much different from an ordinary city, but it can give people a sense of oppression. Those with low cultivation are fine, but those with slightly higher cultivation will feel a bit oppressive. This is the difference in the realm. The effect is different. Get ready to arrive at the Netherworld Empire's capital. Etion looked at the huge Netherworld Empire's capital. His heart couldn't help but beat faster. He was ready to meet the Netherworld Empire's capital head-on. This is a fourth-grade force. It will more or less be a little excited. The others also felt the same. Their hearts were beating faster. A little carelessness will lead to death. How can they not be nervous? On the wall of the Netherworld Empire's capital in the distance, the Imperial Master held a magic wand and stared at them like a poisonous snake. He sneered and said, "If I can't deal with you in my territory, then I really should kill myself." The next moment, he fiercely poked the ground. Boom! The whole wall made a rumbling sound, followed by a dark force that quickly extended from the wall to the ground. In less than a moment, a huge black formation suddenly appeared on the ground under the Heavenly Cloud Palace. Chapter 431. A pitch-black formation suddenly emerged from the ground, and a towering black beam of light gushed out, pierced through the ground, and bombarded the Sky Cloud Shrine. Boom, boom, boom. When this terrifying black beam of light bombarded the Heavenly Cloud Shrine, the huge Heavenly Cloud Shrine was like a live target that was easily hit. The entire Heavenly Cloud Shrine shook violently, as if it was about to fall from the sky at any time. However, it only shook constantly and could still continue to fly forward. However, when it flew out of this great array's attack, another great array gushed out from the ground and continued to fiercely attack the Heavenly Cloud Shrine. Such a big shrine, but you still dare to fly here. You are simply courting death. I guarantee that you will not be able to fly half the distance before you are shot down. National Master sneered. You can control the spirit swords to attack, but I can control all the great arrays here. Let's see how you can get close. National Master continued to control the great array to attack fiercely. As long as the Heavenly Cloud Shrine flew out of the great array, the next great array would immediately start. It was as if this area had been filled with formations, sealing off all the paths. As long as they continued to fly forward, they would definitely be attacked by so many great arrays. No wonder they could not get close to the Netherworld Imperial capital and died on the way. This was similar to the Spirit Sword Great Array's attack, which was numerous and could be attacked from a distance. This National Master really has some skills. No wonder he escaped to control the Great Array here, right? Etion looked at National Master in the distance and revealed a trace of a sneer, still calm and unruffled. Spirit King, although the power of these attacks is not very strong. If I continue to be attacked, I can't imagine that my defense will be broken halfway, and I will fall down. The Spirit Race Old Ancestor looked solemn. The outer shield could withstand many attacks, but it also consumed a lot of energy. According to the current situation, it would not last for too long. It was not that the Jade Spirit Stones were insufficient, but the Great Array had been destroyed, and it was very difficult to repair. It could not be easily repaired in a short time. The speed of destruction was far faster than the speed of repair. Everyone looked at Etion with a solemn expression, wondering if Etion had any ideas. If he couldn't come up with a solution, they could only return to the Heavenly Cloud Shrine and wait outside the grand array to find a solution. Don't worry, I've already predicted this. Otherwise, the imperial tutor wouldn't have chosen to escape in such a humiliating situation. Tianyun sneered. He raised his hand and threw it into the air. A huge stone tablet fell down from the sky and heavily pressed on the ground. After this huge stone tablet was pressed down, it created a huge pit in the ground with a dong sound. Following that, rings of light were released, suppressing a large area of the Great Formation. It was no longer able to spew out the black pillars of light, as if it had lost its effect. Tyrant's stone tablet. When everyone saw this stone stele, the spirit race immediately knew what it was. Their eyes lit up. This Overlord stone stele could really deal with great formations. The Overlord stone stele could nullify Grandmaster Divine Runes. These great formations were not Grandmaster Divine Runes, so it could suppress and nullify them. The Imperial Tutor was a Grandmaster Divine Rune Grandmaster, but it didn't mean that he could carve Grandmaster Divine Runes on all great formations. Moreover, Grandmaster Divine Runes were not bad, but they were easily nullified by the Overlord Stone Stele. I almost forgot that the Spirit King can control the Overlord Stone Stele. No wonder he was so calm. The Spirit Race's old ancestor laughed. This meant that they could fly all the way to the Netherworld Imperial capital without suffering from this crazy attack. As I said, they are prepared, but I also came prepared. Tianyun said in a deep voice. I have to be responsible for all of you. It's not my style to let you die so casually. I want to win, not lose. Even if I can't win, at least I can retreat unscathed. Everyone was excited. Sure enough, this was their king. What's going on? Someone can control the Overlord Stone Stele? When the Imperial Tutor saw the Overlord Stone Stele, his face became very ugly. He had attacked the Spirit Race for the Overlord Stone Stele and other resources. After searching for a long time, he still couldn't find the Overlord Stone Stele. He didn't expect that someone had already taken it and used it in front of him, suppressing his great formation. As a result, the Heavenly Cloud Shrine had entered a place where no one could stop them. Compared to the time when he had to sway his way in, it was much better. Imperial Tutor, what should we do? Should we send archers to shoot them down? The Imperial Protector General next to him said, Do you think we can win if we get close to them? The Imperial Tutor said in a deep voice. The Imperial Protector General was startled. He thought of the tens of thousands of spiritual swords. If he sent people to attack them, they would definitely die. But if we don't do this, do we just watch them approach? The Imperial Protector General said in a deep voice. Of course not. The Overlord Stone Stele has a special effect. It only works on Master-level Divine Runes. It has no effect on Grandmaster-level Divine Runes. The real show is coming. Let them be proud of themselves for a while. The Imperial Tutor sneered. Our Netherworld Empire's foundation is not limited to this. The Heavenly Cloud Temple quickly flew forward, and Tianyun continued to control the Overlord Stone Tablet to suppress the divine runes along the way, making them unimpeded. When they were halfway through the Heavenly Cloud Shrine, the Imperial Tutor smiled sinisterly. It seemed like he already knew that they were going to die. But at this time, the Heavenly Cloud Shrine slowly landed in the middle of the Heavenly Cloud Shrine. The smile on the Imperial Tutor's face froze. He didn't know what Tianyun wanted to do. Tianyun raised his hand, and tens of thousands of spiritual swords flew forward. Whoosh! 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 The swords pierced through the Heavenly Cloud Shrine like tens of thousands of sharp arrows. Their target was all the soldiers on the city wall. Since they were very close to the Heavenly Cloud Shrine, they were all within the attack range. Not good. The wand in the Imperial Preceptor's hand emitted a black light. With a sudden pressure, a large area of the array was instantly activated. A black aura rushed out from the array like a giant dragon. It whizzed out and used its huge black physique to block the attack of the spiritual sword. With a fierce fling, a large number of spirit swords were shattered into pieces. It was not difficult at all. The black smoke was too strong. From afar, It looked like a netherworld dragon was flying in the air and blocking the Imperial Tutor's attack. Immediately, Etionyun recalled all the spiritual swords. He only killed a few soldiers. Most of them were blocked by the netherworld dragon. Chapter 432. The Netherworld Empire had a very famous formation, the Dark Dragon Formation. Many people had only heard of it, but they had never seen it. The Dark Dragon Formation was very powerful. It belonged to the Grandmaster level formation, and it was almost impossible to break it. If anyone had seen it, they would not be able to survive. Dark Dragon Formation, Grandmaster level formation. It can draw out the power of the Dark Dragon from the ground and turn it into a shadow of the Dark Dragon to attack. It can also spit out netherworld fire to destroy everything. Cultivation level, second level of Void Spirit stage, combat power, 37 million. Weakness, destroy the formation, or use the Yang fire to kill the Dark Dragon. The Dark Dragon summoned by the Dark Dragon Formation was even stronger than the one summoned by Etionyun. It didn't mean that the Heavenly Dragon Secret Treasure was weak, but Etionyun still couldn't exert his full strength. The Heavenly Dragon Secret Treasure could protect the Heavenly Dragon Empire, but the Dark Dragon Formation couldn't form a shield to protect the Netherworld Imperial Capital. This is the Dark Dragon Formation. As long as we don't destroy it, it won't die. The Spirit Race Patriarch's expression was solemn. This was not something that could be easily dealt with. Sure enough, in his territory, he has the complete advantage. Compared to the Heavenly Dragon Secret Treasure, he is not inferior. Ren Long said solemnly. He already knew that the Imperial Master was very powerful, but now he saw it for himself. Just like the rumors said, the Imperial Master was the real Imperial Master in his own territory. In the outside world, he could only be regarded as an expert with good cultivation, but not the Imperial Master. In the Netherworld Imperial Capital, the Imperial Master could be regarded as the real Imperial Master. Everyone's face was solemn, but they had already thought of many solutions. Spirit King, let me break this formation. As long as this formation is broken, the Dark Dragon will be suppressed by me. If we don't break this formation, the Dark Dragon will continue to attack crazily, which will cause great harm to us. Spirit Race Old Ancestor said. This was similar to summoning the Heavenly Dragon. As long as the Heavenly Dragon was not restrained, it would continue to attack crazily. Although its cultivation was not high, it would not die, and it could cause great harm to the surroundings. There's no need. It's just a small worm. It's nothing to me. Etionyun smiled faintly and said, the speed of breaking the formation is too slow. Once we crush this little worm to death, there won't be any problems. Everyone was stunned. Could it be that Etionyun wanted to become that evil dragon? Etionyun had yet to move, but the Abyss Dragon was already charging towards them. The huge body of the dragon caused everyone's expression to darken. While they were discussing the plan, the Imperial Preceptor had already ordered the Abyss Dragon to attack. He would not wait until their plan was completed before ordering the Abyss Dragon to attack. I'll let you have a taste of the pain you felt when the Heavenly Dragon coiled around you. No matter how you kill it, you can't kill it. The Grand Tutor's eyes were cold. Previously, he had been troubled by Sky Dragon. Now he could finally let the other party have a good taste of it. As long as the Nether Dragon Great Array was activated, it would be able to move within a large area. Thus, it would be able to attack from a distance. Everyone was ready to resist the Abyss Dragon. They all took out their own weapons and were ready to attack fiercely. Etionyun stretched out his hand to stop them and said indifferently, "Just leave it to me." After saying that, he took a step forward and suddenly raised his hand. With a shiong sound, a flame burned crazily. It was not big, just a small flame, roughly the size of a fist. It looked really inconspicuous, and one could only vaguely feel the heat of the flame. Seeing that the Abyss Dragon was about to attack, Etionyun was still very calm. There was a flame in his hand. When the Abyss Dragon opened its mouth to bite, Etionyun gently threw the flame in his hand forward, and it fell into the huge mouth of the Abyss Dragon. When this scene fell into everyone's eyes, many of the enemies laughed. A small flame dares to compete with the flame of the Netherworld. It's completely seeking death. The Abyss Dragon swallowed them all and killed all these invaders. A group of idiots. This time, they will die. The Netherworld Imperial Capital will never be conquered. They were very confident in the Abyss Dragon. In their opinion, the Abyss Dragon was invincible and absolutely immortal. Therefore, throwing the small flame really had no effect. It would only add a few more flames to the Abyss Dragon. The Imperial Master showed a trace of a sneer. Flame against flame. I have seen idiots, but I have never seen such an idiot. They had already seen the Abyss Dragon swallow the flame and continue to open its mouth to bite Etienne, who was standing in the front. The old ancestor of the spirit race behind him changed his expression and quickly rushed to help resist. In addition to the spirit race old ancestor, Rinlong and the others didn't hesitate to rush forward to help Etienne. Even if they knew that Etienne's cultivation was higher than Etienne, they still rushed forward to help Etienne. Xiong. The moment the Abyss Dragon bit down, it suddenly burst into flames. The whole huge Abyss Dragon began to burn crazily from the head down. Soon, the whole Abyss Dragon was completely burned and completely turned into a large ball of flame. After a while, the Abyss Dragon was burned to ashes. Even if it was just the energy, it could be burned away. What was left was a large ball of inextinguishable flame falling from the sky like a group of fireballs, smashing down in all directions, burning the ground. In the blink of an eye, the place became a sea of fire, burning the ground. Many large arrays began to crack under the inextinguishable flame, as if they were about to collapse. I said that I don't need help. Leave this place to me. A mere insect. How dare you be arrogant in front of me? Etienne smiled indifferently and walked forward into the large array area. This scene caused everyone to be dumbfounded. A small ball of flame was able to burn such a huge Abyss Dragon. It was simply unbelievable. This small flame should have been swallowed up. Instead, the whole Abyss Dragon was burned. How is this possible? How can my flame of the Netherworld not deal with that small flame? The Imperial Master was shocked. He felt that the small flame was very weak, but he did not expect it to be so domineering. The inextinguishable flame was a fire of extreme hardness. Although the flame of the Netherworld was more feminine, it was still far from being the softest fire. Under the restraint of this fire of extreme hardness, it was instantly killed. Etienne did not bother to answer him. His eyes flashed, and a blue light flashed in his eyes. He instantly opened his third eye. What appeared in front of him was the large master-level large array. Perhaps it would be difficult for him to repair it or engrave it, but destroying it was much easier than engraving it. Chapter 433. Although the Dark Dragon was easily burned, the Dark Dragon formation was not limited to this. It was much more flexible than the secret treasure of the Heavenly Dragon, but it lacked in power. At present, it was already the limit, and the consumption was astonishing. It could only control one Dark Dragon at most and no more. As long as the secret treasure of the Heavenly Dragon recognized its master, it could control the secret treasure of the Heavenly Dragon. As its cultivation increased, it could control stronger sky dragons. In terms of level, the secret treasure of the Heavenly Dragon was definitely much stronger. However, it was too difficult to control it. If it could not recognize its master, it would have no effect at all. After the Dark Dragon was killed, the Dark Dragon formation would be damaged, which was the simplest and most brutal way to break the formation. Once it was completely killed, the Dark Dragon formation would be damaged to a certain extent, so it still had a big weakness. Damn, what kind of flame is this again? The Imperial Master roared. This was the Dark Dragon formation that he was most proud of. Although it was not as good as the secret treasure of the Heavenly Dragon, it was quite close. He was very unwilling to be killed so easily. Soon, he controlled the Dark Dragon formation again and quickly condensed a Dark Dragon, which rushed over here crazily, but its momentum seemed to be a little weaker than before. After it was completely killed, its power was suddenly greatly reduced. At this time, Etienne began to explore the formation cores of the Dark Dragon formation with his heavenly eye. He wanted to know where the formation cores were. As long as they were destroyed quickly, this terrifying dark dragon formation would still be very fragile. One of the formation cores is 10 feet away from your left. At this time, Yi Qingshuan's voice sounded in his ears. Without looking, Yi Tianya knew that Yi Qingxian was also using her heavenly eye to help him find the formation cores. If they wanted to attack together, they had to break the formation, so it was impossible to do it quickly with his strength alone. The old ancestor of the spirit tribe entered the formation and began to look for a way to break it. Although the old ancestor's strength had not recovered to its peak, it was not a problem for him to find a flaw in the formation core. After all, he was also a divine rune grandmaster, and he was not a decoration. Okay, Tianyun calmed down. Things were different with help, and the speed of his search increased by a lot. After finding it, he raised a ball of immortal flame in his hand and quickly threw it towards the eye of the needle. With a bang sound, the eye of the array was instantly burned to ashes. Then, with a loud bang, the formation was completely gone. This meant that the Abyss Dragon's power had dropped by a great deal. Sure enough, the Dark Dragon's cultivation dropped to the first level of Void Spirit stage, and its battle prowess dropped significantly. This was one of the disadvantages of the formation. If the formation was damaged, the effect would be greatly reduced. The Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure would not have such a situation unless the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure was damaged. But how could a divine artifact be so easily destroyed? They couldn't even take it away, let alone destroy it. Scram, little worm! Tianyun threw out a ball of fire, and with a boom, the Abyss Dragon was burnt to ashes once again. The death of the Abyss Dragon damaged the Abyss Dragon Great Formation in the entire region. Cracks appeared on it, and its power decreased once more. The National Preceptor's face became more and more ugly. As long as one was not blind, he knew that he had no advantage at all. The terrifying Dark Dragon Great Array was easily suppressed by Tianyun and the Spirit Race without killing a single Spirit Race member. This was definitely a record in the history of the Dark Dragon Great Array. Once the Abyss Dragon came out, corpses would be everywhere. But now, it was constantly being burned to ashes, and the formation was gradually being damaged. National Preceptor, what should we do now? If this continues, our Abyss Dragon Great Formation will be completely destroyed. The National Protector's face was gloomy. They had made a promise to the Netherworld Emperor that if they couldn't stop the enemy's attack, they would rather commit suicide than escape. It seems that we have to do it ourselves. The National Preceptor's eyes flickered with golden light, and the divine runes on his body released bursts of light, followed by a pung-pung-pung sound. The National Preceptor's aura became more and more powerful as the divine runes exploded. This was the same effect as the divine runes of the ancestors in the Divine Rune Mansion. They all had piles of divine runes carved on their bodies, and after exploding, they would release the greatest effect, increasing their strength to an astonishing degree. This meant that the National Preceptor was really going all out. He wanted to use his strongest power to deal with Tianyun. If he didn't do this, even if he managed to escape, he would still die. The Netherworld Emperor would not leave behind trash. Then, the National Preceptor took out a blood pill. When the National Protector saw this, he said in shock, "National Preceptor, you used the blood-stimulating pill. This, even if you win, your cultivation will fall by a lot." The effect of the blood-stimulating pill was simple and violent. It completely stimulated the power of one's blood essence, and the effect was that one's cultivation would fall by a lot, and it would take a long time to recover. This was a forbidden pill, and it would take a long time to recover. The National Preceptor didn't answer. He stuffed it into his mouth and swallowed it, and then squeezed out a sentence. "If I don't eat it, I will die if I lose. I can make up for the decline in my cultivation, but what if I die?" As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly stomped on the ground, and with a bang, a hole appeared in the sturdy city wall. He rushed over with the magic wand in his hand. The nether dragon under the ground rushed up in an instant and drilled into his body. The next moment, he turned into a nether dragon and fiercely pressed down on Tianyun. The sky instantly became incomparably dark, and the surroundings were densely covered with dark clouds. The oppressive and terrifying power constantly attacked. Compared to the previous attack of the Nether Dragon, it was much stronger. Under the layers of stacking, the National Preceptor's battle power had reached the level of 98 million. Combining all of his strength, the National Preceptor's strength had reached a level that defied the natural order, far exceeding the limit of his usual strength. Sure enough, under the layers of eruption, his strength was far beyond his usual strength. The old ancestor of the spirit race and the others felt so powerless. They felt that if they were pressed down by the Nether Dragon, they would definitely die. However, Etionyan smiled. Even if you fuse with this Nether Dragon, you will still be a small worm. He laughed, and with a light step, he rushed up. His eyes burst out a bright light, and he suddenly aimed at the Nether Dragon and punched it across the air. Dragon God Fist. Boom! A huge fist light spurted out and turned into a huge fist. In an instant, the fist light enveloped the Nether Dragon, and as soon as it touched it, the Nether Dragon completely dissipated. Then, the National Preceptor was smashed down from the sky like a meteorite and heavily hit the ground. With a bang, a huge fist print appeared on the ground. Instant kill. Chapter 434. The Imperial Preceptor was smashed into the ground by Etionyan's fist, and when the explosion dissipated, a huge fist mark appeared in front of him. The Imperial Preceptor was lying in the fist mark, motionless. It should be said that he couldn't move at all. Under this heavy punch, the Imperial Preceptor was on the verge of death. All the bones in his body were broken, and his body was flattened. If it wasn't for his body being slightly harder, he would have been smashed into meat paste by this punch. 176 million combat power. If not me, who else can beat him? With his strength at the first level of Void Spirit stage, he directly detonated the 16 times crazy damage mode, reaching a combat power of 176 million. He didn't even use his full strength, but he had already reached such a shocking value. If he used his full strength, who knows what kind of power he would have. Under such a violent power, the Imperial Preceptor was seriously injured and was on the verge of death. The Imperial Preceptor couldn't speak clearly. He could only spit out some words and vaguely heard some words. Everyone was stunned. Such a domineering Imperial Preceptor was defeated by a single punch. It seems that he won't live for long. No matter how long he can live, at least he has lost the ability to resist, and without any resistance, killing him will be a piece of cake. Imperial Preceptor. The Imperial Protector was completely dumbfounded, and so were the surrounding generals. Such an overbearing Imperial Preceptor was defeated with a single punch, which meant that the cultivation of this young man in front of them was heaven-defying. He was definitely stronger than the Imperial Preceptor by several levels, reaching an astonishing standard. Is he at the peak of Void Spirit stage, or even Spirit King stage? This is really unbelievable. Rinlong and the others couldn't believe it. They have seen Etionyan's strength with their own eyes before. He had to transform into an evil dragon to deal with the Imperial Preceptor, and at most he could only fight to a draw. At that time, the Imperial Preceptor didn't use his full strength, but now that he used his full strength, he was instantly killed. In such a short period of time, can he suddenly become so powerful? Damn, how did Brother E cultivate? How did he become so powerful? Before, he was able to fight to a draw, but now he can kill him in a split second. How did he cultivate? No, wait until this is over. I must ask him for advice, even if I have to be thick-skinned to ask him. Rinlong was really envious of this power. Who wouldn't want to have this kind of power that could crush his opponent with a single punch? When Shi Shuiyun and the others saw this scene, they realized that they didn't even need to do anything. Etionyan alone was enough to crush everything. Etionyan descended from the sky and stood beside Imperial Preceptor, staring at him coldly. Unfortunately, you've lost. In the next moment, a long sword appeared in Etionyan's hand, and he stabbed it into the Imperial Advisor's chest. With a poochie sound, the sword easily entered his body and ended his life. He didn't waste his breath on him and just wanted to kill him. Crazy mode consumes a lot of crazy point, so Yun didn't hesitate to kill it. Ding! Successfully killed the Imperial Preceptor. Reward: 132 million EXP, 60,000. 000 crazy point, 10,000. 000 SBS, 10,000. 000 divine rune proficiency. Reward: Netherworld divine palm. Netherworld divine secret art. Divine rune golden body secret art. Reward: dragon subduing flag. Netherworld dragon array. Netherworld magic wand. High-grade sacred tool. Netherworld divine armor. High-grade sacred tool. Netherworld boots. High-grade sacred tool. Netherworld soul, rare. Netherworld bone, rare. A total of 132 million EXP directly exploded. But it's not surprising to reach this level, because the stacking of EXP is as high as 116 times. 50x EXP card, 30x EXP card, 20x EXP card, plus 16x crazy mode is enough to make the experience explode. Etianyan didn't buy 10x and 5x EXP card. Although stacking EXP is great, the price is too expensive. It's not worth it. This is the result of buying too much before, causing a sharp increase in crazy point. It's not worth it to buy later. Unless he's rich, he doesn't have much crazy point right now, so he needs to save as much as possible. Plus, he still needs to buy a lot of EXP cards, so he can't buy more. He must use all the EXP cards he has to enter the Netherworld Imperial Capital. He must not waste this opportunity. Not bad. Etienne's eyes lit up. Seeing his EXP quickly filling up, he was excited. This kind of huge increase in EXP, no one will feel bored. After the Imperial Preceptor was killed, the Dark Dragon Great Array immediately lost its effect. Except for the Imperial Preceptor, no one can control the Dark Dragon Great Array, so the Dark Dragon Great Array is basically useless. The Imperial Preceptor is dead. The Imperial Preceptor is dead. The people on Etienne's side cheered. The second strongest Imperial Preceptor is dead, so they can attack the Netherworld Imperial Capital. The Imperial Protector General who was guarding inside was shocked and said, "Hurry up and inform the Netherworld Great Emperor that the Imperial Preceptor is dead. The Dark Dragon Great Array has lost its effect. Let the Netherworld Great Emperor come to support us, or we won't be able to hold it. The Imperial Preceptor is dead. It's impossible for them to resist the enemy's invasion, so they can only ask for help from the Netherworld Great Emperor. If the Netherworld Great Emperor can't kill them, then the Netherworld Empire is really finished." After receiving the order, the guard immediately flew to find the Netherworld Great Emperor and asked for support. The death of the Imperial Preceptor was too big a blow to them, and the morale of the army was completely in chaos. "Let's go! Kill the Netherworld Imperial Capital!" Etienne shouted, and his voice spread throughout the area. Everyone who stayed in the Heavenly Clouds mansion rushed out of the palace and rushed to the Netherworld Imperial Capital. They finally got this moment. Those who should take revenge. Those who should make meritorious deeds. They should make meritorious deeds. And they should completely destroy the Netherworld Imperial Capital. While flying forward, Etienne quickly pinched a hand seal, and suddenly, the entire Dark Dragon Great Array lit up, and a huge Dark Dragon flew out. Because the Dark Dragon Great Array was weakened a lot, its cultivation was only at the 8th or 9th level of core transformation stage, so it looked a lot smaller. The sudden change made the Imperial Protector General ecstatic, thinking that someone could control the Dark Dragon Great Array to continue fighting the enemy. Although they didn't know who it was, they could resist for a while. The Heavenly Clouds Mansion's people were scared off, thinking that the Netherworld Imperial Capital would send reinforcements. Who knew that before the people in the Nether Emperor's capital cheered, the Nether Dragon whizzed toward the Nether Emperor's capital, opened its mouth and spewed out a stream of nether fire, attacking the generals on the city wall. For a time, screams could be heard. Many people fled, and the soldiers were instantly burned to ashes. Instantly, everyone was stunned. Why would the Abyss Dragon attack them? Chapter 435. Ding! Successfully killed the Netherworld General. Reward 5. 3 million EXP, 18,000 CPS, 1,500 SPs. Obtain Exploding Flame Fist, Cloud Power Sword Art, Heavenly Jump. Reward 10. 000 EXP Pill, Heavenly Fall Sword, High-Grade Soul Tool, Heavenly Silkworm Armor. Ding! Successfully killed the Netherworld General. Reward 5. 1 million EXP, 16,000 CPS, 1,300 SPs. Obtain Martial Art. Ding! The Netherworld Dragon that was controlled by Yun rushed forward. It was supposed to be the Imperial Guardian Array, but now it has become Yun's killing move. Not only that, but Yun also summoned a giant dragon and an earth dragon, and both of them rushed forward crazily, killing all the guards on the wall one after another. Both of them are about to break through to Void Spirit Stage. As long as there is no Void Spirit Stage cultivator to intercept them, they are invincible. Both sides were dumbfounded. After a while, Rinlong laughed. I didn't expect to be attacked by my own Netherworld Dragon Array. This is ridiculous. Rinlong and the others didn't just stand by and watch. When they saw that the Netherworld Dragon didn't attack them, they immediately rushed forward and quickly killed their way into the Netherworld Imperial Capital. The enemy couldn't break into the Imperial Capital, but now they have broken the impression that the Netherworld Imperial Capital is unbreakable. For a time, everyone rushed in. Sure, Shuiyun and the others who have high cultivation level can resist the attacks. The disciples behind them will deal with the weaker ones, but Tianyin alone is enough to deal with a lot of people. The periphery of the Netherworld Imperial Capital quickly fell, as if it has turned into a hell. But no one will be lenient. The Netherworld Empire's fierceness has long been known, especially the cultivators living in the Netherworld Imperial Capital. Each of them is extremely arrogant and ruthless. They have a high status here, and their hands are stained with the blood of many innocent people. It can be said that they are extremely overbearing. If they don't have a certain status, it is impossible for them to live here. The Netherworld Imperial Capital is not a place where anyone can come and go at will, let alone the market outside. If you don't have a certain amount of military merit, you can't live here. It meant that those who stayed here were all ruthless people, the lackeys of the Netherworld Imperial Capital. Getting rid of them would be the best way to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. All of them acted decisively, killing those who deserved to be killed. Those who were heavily injured would be killed by those behind them, finishing them off. Su Fei led a group of cultivators and quickly killed their way into the city. After attacking the city gate, they immediately carried out a cleanup operation. The disciples he led were like ferocious tigers, fiercely charging into the enemy's midst, and began a frenzied slaughter. Su Fei's kills would also give Tianyin a lot of experience. Apart from the items that he couldn't give, he wouldn't be lacking anything else. He could also enjoy the effects of the experience card, and the explosive experience points kept coming. Don't go this way. Evacuate this way. Su Fei shouted, and quickly led the cultivators to retreat to the side. Not long after they left, a group of reinforcements came charging at them. Their cultivations were much higher than theirs. However, by the time they arrived, Su Fei had already led his men to avoid this crisis and did not fall into a bitter battle. This group of relatively strong reinforcements was immediately cleaned up by Tianyin and turned into a lot of experience points. Su Fei's ability to sense danger was very strong. After perceiving the danger, he immediately fled. It was as if he could sense the enemy's intention and had already evacuated before they launched a sneak attack. Similarly, the female disciples led by Yi Qingxian and Shi Shuiyun were also ruthless. They didn't look like delicate women at all. Every time they attacked, they would stab at the fatal spot. Obviously, they were well trained. Those with low cultivation bases certainly couldn't participate in this battle and could only choose to stay in the Heavenly Cloud Shrine. Every one of them with good cultivation bases was a leader, leading the elite disciples to kill their way up. This was the principle of training soldiers for 1,000 days and using them in a single moment. Each of them fought bravely, advancing all the way to the front and killing the Netherworld Imperial Capital's cultivators. They wanted to tell Tianyan that although their strength was far inferior to Tianyan's, they also wanted to serve Tianyan. They were all grateful. Tianyan had always done so much for the sect, so they naturally wanted to repay Tianyan. Among them, there was a team that was the most courageous, and that was the team led by Shuyan. Along the way, Shuyan is like a sharp sword, stabbing inside. The thin sword in Shuyan's hand is turned into a sword light, easily slashing around. Her white dress flutters gently in the air, looking so beautiful. But when this figure gently fell, it was the end of her life. After these days of cultivation, Shuyan's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. She had reached the peak of Spirit Core stage and was about to break through to Core Transformation stage. Although she was not as good as Tianyan, it was already very heaven-defying. In the entire Heavenly Cloud Mansion, Shuyan's cultivation was the fastest. She was also very young, much younger than most of the people. If she was given more time, she would have no problem breaking through to Core Transformation stage. Let alone Shuyan. No one present could compare with Tianyan. He could level up as long as he gained experience, so there was no point in comparing with him. And when Tianyan saw Shuyan working so hard, his heart slightly tightened. He was worried that something bad would happen to Shuyan, but it was all just him thinking too much. Shuyan's movement technique and swordsmanship were amazing. As long as she was at the same level, no one could resist her attack. The Core Transformation stage experts were left to Run Long and the others. So within the Spirit Core stage, Shuyan was invincible. With the crazy killing, they quickly pushed to the front of the Imperial Palace. Their real destination was inside the Imperial Palace, not outside. The Netherworld Great Emperor stayed in the Imperial Palace for so long, but he didn't come out, which made Tianyan feel very strange. He didn't believe that the guards didn't report the situation outside. Even if they didn't, how could the Netherworld Great Emperor not know about the situation outside? Unless the Netherworld Great Emperor was in seclusion, he would definitely know about the situation outside. It was just that after such a long time, no one came out, which was very strange. Could it be that the Netherworld Great Emperor was plotting something inside? Tianyan's eyes flashed, and he waved his hand to signal the people behind him not to follow him. Just when he was about to fly into the Imperial Palace, a majestic voice came from the sky. "Don't you dare break into the Imperial Palace." A huge palm pressed down from the clouds in the sky, like a huge black cloud blocking the sky. Compared to Prime Minister Long and the Imperial Preceptor, this palm was several times stronger, maybe even more than 10 times stronger. Chapter 436. The huge Netherworld Divine Palm was extremely shocking. The huge palm descending from the sky seemed to be the complete version of the real Netherworld Divine Palm, displaying its power to the extreme. There were fine lines on the huge palm. It really looked like a huge giant's palm pressing down from the sky. It was accompanied by a terrifying pressure. When it pressed down from the sky, it gave them a great sense of oppression, and even more so, they felt that death was approaching. They were clearly standing in the distance, and it seemed that they had already left the attack range, but they still felt such a sense of fear. They couldn't help but retreat a large distance, barely feeling that the sense of crisis had disappeared a lot, but they could still feel a terrifying power, which made their hearts tremble. Only Tianyan didn't move. He just looked at the huge palm pressing down, as if he was scared silly by the Netherworld Divine Palm. The Netherworld Divine Palm, used by the Netherworld Great Emperor, is not bad. 90 million battle power. It's really overbearing. I don't know how much power the Netherworld Great Emperor used in this palm. This palm was as high as 90 million battle power, containing a very strong lethality. No wonder the surrounding practitioners could smell the breath of death. This power could definitely kill them with one slap. The terrifying power was far from what they could bear. Just as palm alone was at least at the peak of the Void Spirit stage. It was not surprising that the Netherworld Great Emperor could have such power. Soon after, he flipped his hand and punched out. A terrifying fist rushed upwards. This punch was the same as the one that killed the Imperial Preceptor. It easily broke through the huge palm. The huge Netherworld Divine Palm was destroyed just like that. At the same time, the huge fist fell towards the palace in front, and when it was about to hit the palace, an angry roar burst out. "Get out of my way!" After the roar, a terrifying netherworld power soared into the sky and dispersed the rest of the attack. When the netherworld power soared into the sky, it turned into a flame that enveloped the center of the Imperial City. It was this terrifying flame that offset the rest of Etienne's attack. In fact, after destroying the Netherworld Divine Palm, only 60 to 70 million battle power was left, so it was not surprising that the opponent could easily resist it. Netherworld Flame, Cold Flame, Middle Grade Earth Grade Flame. After being burned, the Cold Flame will invade the body and freeze the internal organs. This was the Netherworld Flame. Its grade was not low either, reaching the Middle Grade Earth Grade, the same level as the Inextinguishable Flame. It was just that the Immortal Flame was clearly of a higher grade than the Netherworld Flame, because the Immortal Flame was an extremely hard flame and belonged to the category that restrained the Netherworld Flame. The grade was the same, but the rarity of the flames was different. It was the same for cultivators. Cultivation was the same, but it also depended on age and talent. Both of them were at the first level of core transformation stage, but one was only 16 years old, while the other was 40 years old. It was obvious that the 16 years old was extremely talented, and the speed of growth was completely different. The Netherworld Fire? It seems like the Netherworld Great Emperor is unwilling to come out of this palace. Etienne squinted as he looked at the flame. Just by continuing to burn, its power was already as high as 100 million battle power. If he didn't have crazy mode, he really wouldn't be able to make up for this gap. His opponent's cultivation was too high, and the higher the level, each level was a qualitative leap. Etienne felt this point. It can be said that when one's cultivation increased by one level, his combat power would increase by millions, and in the later stage, his combat power would increase by tens of millions. This was the gap between the two levels. Originally, the later stages of cultivation were very difficult. If one's combat power only increased a little bit after breaking through, then one would lose the motivation to break through. The terrifying power was shocking, but what was even more terrifying was Etienne's power. He didn't stop and directly flew to the palace. He wasn't afraid of the Netherworld Flame at all. For other people, anyone who came close to the Netherworld Flame would be burned to death immediately, but for him, it was a piece of cake. Ding! Congratulations to player Etienne for successfully breaking through to the second level of Void Spirit stage. On his way to the palace, he received a notification that he had successfully broken through to the second level of Void Spirit stage. From the beginning, the dragon and earth dragon that he controlled never stopped attacking. Even Su Fei didn't stop harvesting the lives of the people here. It seemed very cruel, but it was more about revenge. He wanted to clean up these inhumane people. After almost slaughtering the entire city, Etienne finally ushered in a breakthrough. 300 million EXP was not easy to earn. After leveling up, Etienne saw that he needed 400 million EXP to break through to the third level of Void Spirit stage. This was really 100 million EXP per level. If he accumulated it to the peak of Void Spirit stage, wouldn't it be more than 1 billion EXP? It was really difficult to earn 300 million EXP after slaughtering so many cities. It can only be said that there were too few Void Spirit stage cultivators. Core Transformation stage cultivators' EXP was not bad, but they were not everywhere. Most of them were at the Spirit Core stage, but they still leveled up in the end. After leveling up, Etienne's combat power increased a lot. For other cultivators, it was an increase of millions of EXP. For him, it was an increase of tens of millions of EXP, and it was possible for him to fight above his level. I leveled up, not bad. Etienne's eyes lit up. The higher the cultivation, the better. He was eager to rush to the peak of Void Spirit stage, but it was impossible for him to do so. As he approached, the swaying netherworld fire suddenly turned into a nether dragon and rushed towards him. Compared to the nether dragon summoned by the nether dragon formation, this nether dragon was much thicker. It was almost like the skeleton of a heavenly dragon. Not only was it huge, but its power was also amazing. It was at the peak of Void's spirit stage. The nether dragon with more than 100 million battle power roared towards Eteonyan. Sure, Shuiyun and the others couldn't help but be forced back by the energy of the nether dragon. Tian. Sure, Shuiyun bit her lips. She wanted to go forward and help Eteonyan, but she knew that with her strength, she couldn't help Eteonyan. She would be burned to ashes if she approached Eteonyan. In the face of such a terrifying nether dragon fire, Eteonyan thought for a moment and immediately stretched out his hand. Absorb! The next moment, a huge black hole appeared in front of his palm and began to crazily swallow the nether fire. The suction suddenly increased to the extreme. At this moment, the nether fire was sucked into the black hole, but there was still a little that couldn't be extracted and turned into EXP. Then it fell on Eteonyan's body and began to burn. But it didn't invade his body. Suddenly, a stronger force gushed out of Eteonyan's body and strengthened the heaven-devouring divine art. That was heaven-devouring divine art. Chapter 437. The terrifying flames of the netherworld were perfectly absorbed by Eteonyan's terrifying, devouring power. Not only did it not cause him any harm, but it also provided him with a steady stream of experience. He absorbed whatever came into his body. 8. 3 million experience points, 8. 4 million experience points, 8. 5 million experience points, 8. 4 million experience points. Every time he devoured, he could obtain millions of experience points. This was obviously due to the 116 times experience points. If he devoured normally, he would at most get 70,000 to 80,000 experience points. Suddenly, it exploded to millions of experience points. This was the benefit of the experience card. If he continued to absorb at this rate, leveling up would not be difficult at all. It should be said that it was rather easy. There was no difficulty to speak of. Under this crazy devouring, the netherworld dragons that pounced on him were devoured into the black hole and disappeared. From afar, it looked like they had drilled into his body, but it did not affect him at all. It seemed like there was no problem at all. Even though they had seen Eteonyan's power before, they could not help but be shocked. Although they had seen many shocking things, they could not help but be shocked every time. Because every time was more exaggerated than before. Such a powerful netherworld dragon was devoured just like that. How could they not be shocked? If it was someone else who devoured like that, they would have died long ago. How could they survive? Eteonyan's expression did not change. He continued to devour the netherworld dragon into his body without any pressure. I can barely devour it. If it's a little stronger, I won't be able to devour it. Eteonyan felt that his experience points kept increasing. This was an explosive amount. If it kept pouring in, it would be a way to harvest experience points. However, after absorbing for a while, the netherworld dragon no longer pounced on him. It was obvious that it could not cause any harm to Eteonyan, so it chose to give up attacking. Eteonyan stopped attacking and looked at the flames of the netherworld with a longing gaze. In just this short period of time, he had already obtained almost 100 million experience points. As expected, it was very fast to absorb experience points. Of course, the prerequisite was that he had a high multiplier experience card. Otherwise, he would have to absorb 70,000 to 80,000 experience points every time. Correspondingly, after the flames of the netherworld were absorbed, it looked much weaker. It was obvious that it had become smaller. Why aren't you attacking? Eteonyan laughed mockingly. He hadn't absorbed enough and wanted to continue absorbing, the more the better. Who knew that the other party would stop after releasing for a while? These things were not something that could never be used up, and they were being depleted at the same time. An abyss dragon had been viciously absorbed, so how could the abyss dragon feel good? No wonder you killed the Imperial Preceptor. You do have some ability. The Netherworld Emperor didn't appear from the beginning to the end. He just hid in the palace and talked. After a short pause, he continued, "Since your cultivation is not bad, I'll give you a chance. If you are willing to join the Netherworld Empire, I'll give you the position of the Divine Guardian. As long as I don't stop you, you can control any force of the Netherworld Empire. As for resources, as long as you join the Netherworld Empire, half of the Netherworld Empire will be yours. The Netherworld Emperor threw out huge temptations one after another. As long as Tianyun joined the Netherworld Empire, he would be on an equal footing with the Netherworld Emperor. From the side, it could be seen that the Netherworld Emperor had acknowledged the strength of Tianyun. Otherwise, how could he give up so much power to Tianyun? This was a kind of compromise. The Netherworld Emperor had acknowledged the strength of Tianyun, so he was willing to give up half of the empire. Everyone, including the soldiers of the Netherworld Empire, looked at Tianyun in shock. They didn't expect that the Netherworld Emperor would choose to bow his head. His arrogance seemed to have been extinguished as he immediately chose to compromise. Giving up half of the empire was simply a humiliation. However, they were all wondering whether Tianyun would agree or not. If he agreed, then the Netherworld Empire could easily conquer most of the forces, including the Heavenly Dragon Empire. At that time, the Netherworld Empire and the Netherworld Empire's strength would be magnified by several times. Who could resist such an empire? At that time, the Netherworld Empire would officially enter the ranks of the Divine Nations. However, the power of the Divine Nations couldn't be casually joined. Even if there were many strong people, if they didn't meet the requirements, they wouldn't be qualified to join. There were many benefits to joining the Divine Nations, but no one knew the details because the Divine Nations were too mysterious. Tianyun smiled faintly. What? Is this a compromise? No, it's just that this emperor feels that your strength is not bad. If we join hands to manage an empire, it will greatly increase the strength of our empire. At that time, we will be able to enter the ranks of the Divine Nations. The Netherworld Emperor said, "All right, but I have a condition." Tianyun said indifferently. "What condition?" The Netherworld Emperor's voice was slightly shaken by Tianyun's answer. If Tianyun really joined the Netherworld Empire, then it would be a happy ending. Although Tianyun had almost destroyed the entire Netherworld Empire, if Tianyun joined the Netherworld Empire, then he would definitely be able to make up for it. Rinlong and the others were startled as they looked at Tianyun in shock. Is he really going to join the Netherworld Empire? Palace Lord. If the Palace Lord joins the Netherworld Empire, the elder standing next to Shuyun said in a worried tone. If he chooses to join, then I will also join. Shuyun said without any hesitation, as if she had been brainwashed. The Netherworld Empire was very cruel. So if they joined, then wouldn't they be courting death? If the Netherworld Emperor was just stalling for time, then they would definitely fall into his trap. Rinlong and the others remained silent as they waited for Tianyun's answer. My condition is very simple. Apart from you, the rest of the Netherworld Empire will choose to commit suicide to atone for their sins. Then I will build the empire with you. Tianyun replied indifferently. Are you playing with me? The Netherworld Emperor said angrily after a moment. Apart from the Netherworld Emperor, the rest of the Netherworld Empire would choose to commit suicide. If the Netherworld Emperor was the only one left, then what would happen to him? An emperor with no power was as miserable as having no real power. Everyone laughed after listening to Tianyun's words. Shuyun also smiled, as if she had already expected that Tianyun would say such a thing. How could she not know Tianyun's character? Chapter 438. Tianyun's words were like a slap to the Netherworld Great Emperor's face. Judging from the current situation, their side has a great advantage, but he still wants to join hands with them. If he isn't a fool, then what is he? It's like preparing to attack a city with a knife on his neck. How can he have the qualification to negotiate? It seems that you are very confident in your strength. The Netherworld Great Emperor said coldly. I asked you to join hands with me because I think highly of you and I don't want to waste a genius like you. Since you said so, then go to hell. As soon as Tianyun said that, a huge shadow emerged from the palace and condensed into the shadow of the Netherworld Great Emperor. The Netherworld Great Emperor looked at Tianyun coldly, with killing intent flashing in his eyes, as if he was the real Netherworld Great Emperor. When this phantom appeared, a terrifying pressure was released from all directions. Even the practitioners outside the Imperial City could feel it. The terrifying power made them tremble. Compared to before, it's a bit stronger. I don't know how he cultivates, but he can still continue to become stronger. Looking at the phantom that emerged, Etienne's eyes narrowed. This is actually the strengthened version of the talisman, which is much stronger than the one he used before. But this is the Netherworld Great Emperor himself, so the effect is naturally different, and the gap is not small. The moment the phantom condensed, the Netherworld Great Emperor waved his hand and fiercely slapped at Etienne. The huge palm created a hurricane, and all the Netherworld fire condensed. Perhaps this is the real Netherworld Divine Palm. How can the Netherworld Divine Palm be called Netherworld Divine Palm without the Netherworld fire? This palm's battle power directly exploded, reaching 120 million battle power, which is a lot stronger than before. This increase is too obvious. Is this really the power of the Void Spirit stage? Your strength has increased a lot, but if this is all you have, I'm sorry to say that you will die today. Etienne's eyes flashed, and his whole body was instantly covered with a thick layer of dragon scales. Due to the upgrade of the Dragon God bloodline, his power has greatly increased. He fiercely punched, and a red dragon roared out of his hand, pierced through the world, and rushed towards the phantom of the Netherworld Great Emperor. Dragon God Fist. This was one of the strongest moves of the Dragon God's secret art. It unleashed the power of the Dragon God's bloodline to the extreme, erupting with the power of the Dragon God. Roar! The Dragon God roared, twisted his huge dragon head, and rushed up, knocking away the huge palm. Followed by the sound of Shiom, the immortal fire rose up, and the flame instantly suppressed the Netherworld fire that was pressing down, burning it into nothingness. Then, he continued to rush forward and destroyed the phantom of the Netherworld Great Emperor. Finally, he rushed towards the Imperial Palace in his strongest state. Boom! A pillar of fire exploded in the Imperial Palace. The flames soared into the sky and pierced the clouds. In an instant, the entire sky was burned red, and it spread in all directions, illuminating the entire area. This move had easily killed the Netherworld Great Emperor's phantom, and it had even blasted the Imperial Palace. Its power was much stronger than before. His overall battle prowess had already reached more than 180 million, reaching a whole new level, completely suppressing the Netherworld Great Emperor's power. Etienne and the Netherworld Great Emperor were not on the same level, and Etienne's power had completely crushed them. After the explosion, more than half of the Imperial Palace was destroyed, revealing the situation inside. From the sky, one could clearly see the main hall inside. There was a handsome middle-aged man sitting on the dragon throne, coldly looking at them. His whole body was surging with Netherworld fire, and there was a huge formation on the ground. The Netherworld fire was unceasingly surging from the ground and pouring into his body. Damn it, what kind of power is this? The Netherworld Great Emperor's eyes were filled with horror. He had never thought that Etienne's power would be so much stronger than his. If it wasn't for the strong formation supporting this place, he would have already been destroyed. Although he could still hold on for now, cracks had already appeared in the surrounding formation, and if this continues, it will completely collapse. Once the formation here collapses, the Netherworld Great Emperor's power will be greatly weakened. The reason why the Netherworld Great Emperor was able to burst out such a strong power was because of the formation. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to burst out such a strong power. With the appraisal eye, Etienne had already seen through the Netherworld Great Emperor situation. After the appraisal eye was upgraded, unless the cultivation of the opponent was very high, otherwise it would be easy for him to see through the Netherworld Great Emperor. Netherworld Great Emperor, Peak Void Spirit Stage, equipped with a high-grade sacred tool, has a very strong Netherworld fire and can control the Netherworld fire between heaven and earth. Martial Arts, Netherworld Divine Art, Netherworld Divine Palm, Netherworld Burning Body Art. Weakness, extreme fire. Overall battle prowess, 120 million, relying on the Netherworld Greater Rays effect. Can drop Netherworld Divine Art, Netherworld Divine Palm, Netherworld Burning Body Art, and other rare items. Netherworld Great Array. Grandmaster Grade Divine Rune Great Array can absorb the Netherworld fire from the ground to strengthen its own power. It can also be used for cultivation. Such a terrifying power is supported by the Netherworld Great Array's power. Otherwise, it would be impossible to achieve. If I didn't break through, then I would have really died here. Onion frowned. He knew that the Netherworld Great Emperor's foundation was astonishing. Otherwise, he would have provoked so many enemies. If he wanted to die, he would have died long ago. No wonder he didn't choose to leave this palace. After leaving this palace, he would lose the support of the Netherworld Great Array, and its power would naturally decrease. Although the cultivation of a peak Void Spirit stage is very strong, but it is impossible to casually increase one's battle prowess to more than 100 million. This is really not cabbage. Not everyone has a crazy system and can explode with so much battle prowess. Netherworld Great Array, no wonder you didn't come out. But it ends here. Etienne's eyes flashed. He raised his fist and smashed it towards the place where the Netherworld Great Emperor was. Another dragon god fist burst out, and a red dragon rushed out of the fist and directly rushed down. The Netherworld Great Emperor's complexion changed, and he hurriedly shouted, "Two ancestors." At this time, two coffins suddenly emerged from the underground Great Array. These coffins were filled with blood, and just as they came out, a fishy smell wafted in all directions. Blood flowed down from the coffins, and a large area of the ground was dyed red. I didn't expect that there would be such a genius in this world. An old voice resounded from the coffins. Then the coffins were quickly pushed open, and two shriveled bodies crawled out of the coffins filled with blood, raised their hands, and patted the air. The power of the two people instantly merged together, and even the power of the Netherworld Great Array gathered and fused with the two of them. Immediately, a huge Netherworld Divine Palm burst out, and a battle prowess as high as 150 million was released. Chapter 439. The two old ancestors released their strongest power together and used the Netherworld Great Array to unleash a huge Netherworld Divine Palm. The Netherworld Divine Palm was filled with a bloody aura, and the red veins on it looked gloomy and terrifying. Their combat prowess was as high as 150 million, which was the best proof that they could unleash their full power together. Judging from their combined strength, they had probably reached the Spirit King stage. It's just that such a strong power, in the face of Etienne's divine dragon fist, it's still so powerless. Roar! Accompanied by a loud roar, the red dragon smashed through the Netherworld Divine Palm and slammed down on the two old ancestors at lightning speed. Boom! The two old ancestors were blown away, and they jumped out of the coffin one after another. Their bodies were dripping with blood. After standing on their feet, the two old ancestors' faces changed. Their pale faces turned red, and they spat out a mouthful of blood, which made their faces even paler. Their lifespan was about to end, and they risked their lives to unleash this attack. Of course, they would lose 800 of their own, but instead of hurting the enemy, they lost 1,000 of their own. This power. Is he an envoy from the Divine Kingdom? The two old ancestors looked at Etienne, who was flying in the air with a pale face. The Netherworld Emperor's face was also ugly. Even the two old ancestors couldn't stop Etienne's attack. How strong is this invader? Etienne continued reading, and the details of the two of them immediately appeared in front of him. Old ancestor of heavenly underworld, peak of void spirit stage, master of netherworld fire, lifespan is about to end. Martial arts, netherworld divine art, netherworld divine palm, netherworld burning body secret art. Weakness, extreme fire. Combat power, 110 million netherworld great arrays blessing. Kills drop netherworld divine palm, netherworld divine art, old ancestor of heavenly underworld. peak of Void Spirit stage, master of Netherworld fire, lifespan is about to end. Martial arts, Netherworld divine art, Netherworld divine palm, Netherworld burning body secret art. Weakness, extreme fire. Overall battle power, 113 million, Netherworld great arrays buff. Kills will drop Netherworld divine palm, Netherworld divine art. The data of the two old ancestors were almost the same. It seemed that they were the previous emperors of the Netherworld Empire. Because their lifespan was coming to an end, they sealed themselves under the Netherworld Great Formation. Unless they made a breakthrough in their cultivation, they could only wait for death. However, in their current situation, it was good enough that they could survive. It was impossible for them to make a breakthrough. As for these spirit fruits that could increase one's lifespan, they didn't have any effect on them. With the power of Netherworld Empire, there was no way they couldn't get any longevity fruit. This blood is not ordinary blood, Etionyan frowned. Upon closer inspection, this blood was mixed with quite a bit of essence blood. As for whether it was the blood of a demonic beast or a human, he really wasn't sure. This was the only way they could extend their lifespans. However, there was one type that he recognized, and that was the blood essence of the spirit tribe. The astral race's blood essence was very special. It possessed a relatively strong vitality, so absorbing it would increase their lifespan. It's time to end this, bear. The inextinguishable fire rushed out of his body and enveloped him. The inextinguishable fire was released in all directions. The astral race's complexion changed. They could feel that the inextinguishable fire could completely restrain their power. Etionyan didn't say anything and immediately rushed down. His figure flashed and disappeared in the sky. In the blink of an eye, Forb Etionyan appeared in the sky. No one knew which one was the real one. It was a completely two-on-two situation. The two old ancestors did not hesitate. Their power quickly approached each other, and their spiritual power connected as if they were one. Only in this way, they would be able to burst out more power. The Netherworld Emperor's eyes flashed. He turned around and walked towards the back of the dragon throne and disappeared from everyone's sight. He didn't participate in the battle. Instead, he hid underground. Etionyan didn't pay attention to the Netherworld Emperor. If he wanted to kill the Netherworld Emperor, he must kill the two old ancestors first. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to smoothly chase after the Netherworld Emperor. Netherworld Divine Palm. The two of them once again used the Netherworld Divine Palm on Etionyan. The huge palm pressed down again. It didn't feel fresh at all. They used the same technique as before. They only knew this one move. The other moves were certainly not as powerful as the Netherworld Divine Palm. The Netherworld Divine Palm was the only move that could bring out their full power. Still this move? Then let's end this. The Forb Etionyan punched the Netherworld Divine Palm at the same time. 4 red dragons roared out and pierced through the huge Netherworld Divine Palm. Boom! The two of them screamed and were sent flying. Although they were very strong, it's a pity that they ran into Etionyan. After being sent flying, Etionyan didn't stop attacking. The Heavenly Dragon Divine sword appeared in his hand. It was a high-grade sacred tool that dropped earlier. He fiercely stabbed at the Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. The Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor didn't even have time to react. The Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor's head was easily pierced through. Ding! Successfully killed Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. Reward: 162 million EXP, 43,000 crazy point, 15,000 SBS. Reward: Netherworld Divine Palm, Netherworld Divine Art, Netherworld Burning Body Secret Art. Reward: Netherworld Great Array, Netherworld Fire, Middle Grade Earth Level, Rare, Netherworld Heart Rare. Etionyan didn't get the reward for killing Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. Etionyan still didn't get the reward for killing Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. It seems that Etionyan's combat power is too strong. The system judged that the opponent is weak, so there is no reward for killing Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. This is understandable. Etionyan hasn't used his full strength yet, so there is no reward for killing Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. Only a little bit more difficult or a little bit of a tie can be counted as killing Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. Although Etienne's cultivation is at second-level Void Spirit stage, but in terms of strength, he can crush Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. Heavenly Underworld. When Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor saw Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor being killed, his eyes were filled with anger. After a roar, a blood-colored bone sword quickly appeared in his hand, and he slashed to the side, cutting Etienne in half, and the rest of the sword light pierced through Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor's body. Etienne's eyes flashed, and with a backhand slash, a Heavenly Dragon rushed out of the Heavenly Dragon Divine Sword and easily broke through the sword light, then opened its mouth and bit towards Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor. Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor quickly dodged, but he was still too slow, and in the blink of an eye, half of his body was gone. Bang! Heavenly Underworld Old Ancestor fell to the ground, but not much blood flowed out of his body. His body is almost devoid of blood, so it doesn't bleed much. Chapter 440. This power, how can it be? The old ancestor's eyes widened as he fell to the ground. Without half of his body, he couldn't move at all. He didn't have the ability to quickly regenerate his body, especially when his lifespan was about to come to an end. It takes a long time for him to recover from this injury, unless he uses medicinal pellets. But even with medicinal pellets, the recovery effect is still very slow, mainly because his body is too weak, so the effect of medicinal pellets is not ideal. This is the fate of your Netherworld Empire. You are all too tyrannical and cruel. Now, I will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens and eliminate you all. This is your ending. Etienne's eyes flashed. Even the system couldn't stand it. Letting him eliminate the Netherworld Empire was enough to show how cruel the Netherworld Empire was. Enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens? That's all bullsh asterisk T. The winner takes all. The patriarch of the underworld laughed bitterly. He did not care about being overly domineering. He would kill anyone who disobeyed him. He would sacrifice everything for himself. Winner takes all. That's true. But the Real King is not built on the pain of the innocent, but the battle between the strong. Etienne just said, and before the old ancestor could answer, Etienne already pierced through the old ancestor's head. The great ancestor of the underworld world widened his eyes. He wanted to say something, but it was already too late. His life was gone just like that. Aside from hatred, his final gaze was filled with unwillingness. Ding! Successfully killed the old ancestor of Netherworld. Reward: 162 million EXP, 43,000 crazy point, 15,000 SBS. Reward: Netherworld Divine Palm, Netherworld Divine Art, Netherworld Burning Body Secret Art. Reward: Netherworld Great Array, Netherworld Fire, Middle Grade Earth Level, Rare, Netherworld Soul Rare, Netherworld Passage Key Rare. Ding. Congratulations to player Etienne for successfully breaking through to third layer Void Spirit stage. Just like before, he obtained a large amount of experience, allowing him to smoothly break through to the third level of Void Spirit stage. The two old ancestors were enough to provide him with more than 300 million experience. Coupled with the experience from absorbing the Netherworld fire, he quickly broke through to the third level of Void Spirit stage, making him even more heaven-defying. In the blink of an eye, he had successfully broken through to Void Spirit stage level 3. Who else could do this? However, Etienne still didn't get any rewards. It seemed like Etienne needed to kill a Spirit King stage cultivator to get the rewards. Ding! 50 times experience card time up. Ding! 30 times experience card time up. Ding! One after another, the time limit of the experience card ran out. Since he hadn't killed the Netherworld Great Emperor, it had already lost its effect. It meant that he had let go of a big fat sheep. It was really a pity. It was impossible for him to buy a pile of experience cards for the Netherworld Great Emperor. It was undoubtedly a waste. Unless he had a bunch of enemies, then things would be different. Time's up. What a pity, Etienne's eyes flashed. The netherworld great array was a scourge, and it must be destroyed. Soon, the spirit race's old ancestor and the others flew over. They didn't dare to approach the netherworld great array because they were afraid of death. Spirit Monarch, you're just too powerful. You killed the two patriarchs, earthly Hades Patriarch and heavenly Underworld Patriarch. That's unbelievable. The Spirit Patriarch was shocked. He couldn't believe it. The two old ancestors were easily killed by Etianyan. He thought that it would be good if he could slightly weaken the Netherworld Empire's morale. But now, he killed the two old ancestors as if he was chopping melons and vegetables. This situation shocked not only the spirit race's old ancestor, but also Rin Long and the others. Their worries just now were completely unnecessary. It was as if they were fools. There was no meaning to it at all. Now is not the time to talk about these things. Old ancestor, can you and the other elders destroy the Netherworld Great Array? Etianyan asked. It's not easy, but it's not a problem. As long as no other experts come to kill us, we will be able to destroy the Netherworld Great Array. The spirit race's old ancestors said firmly. They might not be able to fight side by side with Etianyan, but they could help solve the problem. All right, I'll leave this place to you. I'm going to chase after the Netherworld Emperor. He must have run away, so we must destroy the Netherworld Great Array. If we don't destroy it, it will increase his strength. Etianyan said. He had seen the power of the Netherworld Great Array. It could increase their strength by tens of millions. If they don't destroy it, it would be very difficult to deal with it. Or rather, it should be said that he was afraid of complications arising out of the problem. If he could reduce his strength, he would reduce it. He did not think that he was absolutely invincible right now. No problem. Leave this place to us. The spirit race's old ancestor nodded his head. Then he said worriedly, but if you continue like this, won't you fall into a trap? We don't know what's down there. Maybe it's a trap. But if we don't go down and let the Netherworld Emperor escape, there is a possibility that a new Netherworld Empire will appear. Etianyan said coldly. As long as the Netherworld Emperor was still alive, there was a possibility that he could establish a new Netherworld Empire. The most important thing was that he was hiding in the dark, and if he launched a sneak attack from time to time, it would be very troublesome. It was easy to dodge a spear in the open, but it was hard to guard against an arrow in the dark. Moreover, it's very likely that he is not running away, but plotting something. He didn't confront me head-on, but chose to run away or hide here. I think he might be preparing to break through. Etianyan said. Since the Netherworld Great Emperor had reached this stage, he was definitely not a person who was afraid of death. He was definitely an emperor of a generation. He couldn't just casually run away, especially not after just a few rounds of fighting. That wasn't the demeanor of an emperor at all. Therefore, Etianyan guessed that the Netherworld Emperor was plotting something or was preparing to break through. Of course, he couldn't afford to get injured, otherwise it would be very difficult for him to break through. Once he broke through to the Spirit King stage, it would be very terrifying. Breaking through to the Spirit King stage, everyone's face changed dramatically. The Spirit King stage was a legendary existence to them. Once he broke through to the Spirit King stage, it would be a whole new realm of power. The power of crossing a great realm was not something that could be easily imagined. If that's the case, why are you still going, Spirit King? The spirit race's old ancestor said solemnly. If that's the case, I have to go. While he hasn't broken through to the Spirit King stage, I have to kill him before he can. Etianyan's eyes were full of determination. Otherwise, our safety will be in danger. I will be responsible for my men. Chapter 441. Regardless of whether the Netherworld Great Emperor would break through to the Spirit King stage or not, he had to go down and kill him. However, what he said was from the bottom of his heart. He had painstakingly cultivated the Heavenly Clouds mansion, and he didn't want to lose his life. Therefore, he had to be responsible for everyone. If he couldn't kill the Netherworld Great Emperor this time, there would be countless casualties in the future, which was something he didn't want to see. He didn't say such words to win the hearts of the people, but he really wanted to be responsible for his men. In this general attack, They didn't lose much, but they still suffered some losses. As long as they fought, people would die, but he could at least minimize the losses. Otherwise, if the Netherworld Great Emperor sent people to attack, it wouldn't just be a small loss. We all know Mansion Lord's words, but if you go down there and something bad happens to you, That's right, it's very dangerous down there, and we don't know what's going on. They all expressed their concerns, and they didn't want Tianyun to go down there. After all, it was too dangerous down there. Let him go down. At this time, Shuiyin stood up. She wasn't the strongest here, but she was the most concerned about Tianyun. Tianyun will not change his mind easily. I believe that he will come back safely, and if something bad happens to him, I will hide and continue to strengthen my strength to avenge Tianyun. Her tone was very calm, but the words that came out of her mouth were like raging waves, slamming into their hearts. Aunt knows me the best. Tianyun smiled indifferently. He and Shuiyin don't need to communicate too much, just a smile. They can immediately understand each other's mind. They don't need to say much. They can understand each other's heart. If there was anyone in his heart that couldn't be replaced, it would be Shuiyin. No one could replace her position in his heart. Even if his parents appeared, it couldn't be replaced. Besides, he really didn't have any thoughts about the concept of parents. It didn't matter if they didn't show up, as long as he had Shuiyin. It was enough. Everyone looked at each other. Some of them knew that Shuiyin's position in Tianyun's heart was unshakable. If they really want to dissuade, only Shuiyin can dissuade. Others can only waste their breath. Since the Spirit King has made up his mind, I won't say anything more. Let's break the formation now and wait for the Spirit King's return. The Spirit Tribe's patriarch saw that Tianyun was determined and didn't try to dissuade him. We will all wait for the Spirit King's return. As long as the Spirit King does not return, we will not leave. Everyone shouted loudly, their voices sonorous and powerful. Yes, we will all wait for the Manor Lord's return. If the Manor Lord does not return, we will definitely follow him down to investigate the situation. If we can't deal with them, we will hide with the Palace Lord and slowly deal with the Netherworld Empire. The disciples of Heavenly Jade's sect shouted in unison. Just like what Shuiyin said, they were all loyal to Tianyun. We will also wait for the Manor Lord's return. No matter how long it takes, we will wait for your return. The disciples of Empyrean Terminus sect didn't get along with Tianyun for long, but they were impressed by Tianyun's strength, so they expressed their respect for him one after another. Tianyun's heart was also warmed up when he saw that everyone was so supportive of him. Of course, he was more motivated to repay their trust. Don't worry. You still don't believe in your Manor Lord? I will definitely come back with the Netherworld Emperor's head. Tianyun clenched his fist and raised it to show his determination. We believe in the Manor Lord. They shouted loudly. Their eyes were shining, and they all wanted to follow Tianyun. However, Tianyun will not let them go down. If they go down, they will definitely die. He doesn't have the habit of using his subordinates as cannon fodder. Immediately, he went to the back of the dragon throne. There is no passage behind the dragon throne, but after pushing it, a passage leading to the underground immediately appeared. A cold and gloomy power of the netherworld flame surged out from the passage, causing people to feel uncomfortable all over their bodies. He didn't hesitate for too long. He immediately went down the stairs and quickly went underground. The more he went down, the more netherworld fire gushed out. If one's cultivation is not higher than core transformation stage, they will definitely be invaded by this netherworld fire and die. Even a core transformation stage powerhouse can't stay here for too long. They need to be at least void spirit stage to break into this place. The threshold to enter this place is very high. This is not a problem for Tianyun. He stretched out his hand and released Swallowing Heaven Divine Art, continuously swallowing the surrounding netherworld fire. The amount is relatively small, but at least it can be converted into EXP obtained 7,000 EXP, 8,000 EXP, 7,800 EXP. Every time he can only absorb a little bit of EXP, the netherworld fire gushing out from the wall is absorbed. Although there is no EXP card, overall it is not bad. The further down he goes, the higher the EXP, which means that the netherworld fire is stronger. Soon, He reached the end, and what greeted him is a thick stone door, which is engraved with dense divine runes. It is very strong. At first glance, there are a lot of Grandmaster Divine runes. It seems that this place is reinforced layer by layer. It is not easy to break in. This Netherworld Emperor really hid well. If I don't break this stone door, I really can't go in. Etienne looked up and down. If he only relied on brute force, it will take a long time to break this stone door, unless he is extremely strong. But this is not important. He can still break this divine rune with the heavenly eye. Open for me. A blue light flashed in Etienne's eyes, and soon, the core of the divine rune was exposed. He identified the weak point. Here it is. He quickly began to break the divine rune, and soon, the divine rune was broken one by one. Ding! Successfully broke the Grandmaster Divine Rune. Obtained 800,000 EXP. 2,000 proficiency points. Ding! Success. After breaking the Divine Rune, a lot of experience and proficiency points came into his body. He naturally obtained experience and proficiency points from breaking the Divine Rune. Whether it is repairing or breaking the Divine Rune, he can obtain experience and proficiency points. Finally, when he broke the last Divine Rune, he fiercely punched the stone door, and with a bang, the stone door was smashed open like tofu. Without the reinforcement of the Divine Rune, this stone door is no different from tofu. After the stone door was smashed open, a sea of netherworld fire came into view, covering the entire area, and in the center of this area, there is a big hole, from which a steady stream of netherworld fire gushed out, and then filled the entire space. Inside the hole, the Netherworld Emperor stayed on the side, meditating, crazily absorbing the Netherworld fire, and did not pay attention to him. As expected, he is breaking through. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.